All right, welcome to Florida's Drinking Report. I'm your captain today, Dave Boucher, joined again by Brian Tonneson, my co-captain.
Heyo!
Emily Hayhurst joining us again today. Woo. Thank you, Emily. And today we have Casey Scott on the podcast. Casey, thanks for being on the podcast today.
Looking forward to it.
Appreciate that. So we're in Vero Beach right now.
The best.
Back to where it started.
Back to where it started.
The best. Awesome. Well, there's a certain specific reason we're here, and some of the stuff maybe because what's on the wall for the artwork, but
right.
Yeah, that's similar to the reason we're here. But sticking with the theme of the Drinking Report, Brian, what do you got today?
We are in Vero Beach. Started with a light tackle, but we've graduated to Sunrise City.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good transition. Emily?
Y'all know me. Light tackle. Easy drinking. Love it.
What do you got, Casey?
Light tackle.
Same?
Man.
Yeah.
So almost all light tackles.
Hey, 3 out of 4 ain't bad.
And no limes here, so no Gabe's away.
Some of us are going to have a longer day than others.
Yep.
It's
I
safe
think-
to say we're doing serious depletions wherever we go.
That-
Wherever light tackle is, we're drinking it.
Seems to me that all the places that have light tackle, if we're there, they're pretty excited to see us.
Yeah, that's fair. They're so crushable.
It's our Bush Light.
Yeah. It's our light tackle.
It's our light tackle.
Yeah.
fair.
Well, coming off of a crazy past couple of weeks with the storms rolling in.
Yeah.
Starting the recovery aspect of all that. I know, Vera was hit just as hard as some of the places in Fort Pierce were. And, it's been a hell of a road the past, couple of weeks, people rebounding from that. So, Casey, you're up here in Vero. How was that? How was your time through the storm?
Well, it was one of those things. I'm kind of a weather nut, so
Right.
of course I was sitting out on the porch drinking beer. As a matter of fact, I think I had a light tackle.
There you go.
And everybody from all my buddies, because I used to live down in Jupiter, were calling me, and they're
Yeah.
like, "Hey, man, this is coming, and
Yeah.
it is big. There's tornadoes. Watch out." So I'm like, sitting on my back patio watching it over the river, and sure enough, caught the whole thing on video. But it was about 500 yards from my house.
That's absolutely wild.
Yeah.
And by the way, that doesn't make you a weather nut. That makes you a Floridian.
yeah, true story.
Because that is
True story.
the common aspect of what we've heard, through Oktoberfest and certainly checking boxes with all the Mug Club members and things of that nature is like, I had my garage door open. I was sitting there
Yeah.
watching the thing pass through, and all of a sudden, like, that's a very common story.
Yeah, I will say, before it came, it did everything that you hear about. The river was dead flat.
Wow.
It was so calm. There were frigates flying over the house.
Right.
There were herons up, birds all over.
Damn.
And then you started to hear that
The train whistle.
Yep.
like whistle, and I thought,
It's almost
I yelled
eerie.
at my wife. I was like, "Get the kids in the bathroom!" And of course, I kept drinking beer and filming. My neighbor had a jet ski that wasn't anchored down, and I thought, if that jet ski starts moving, I'm running.
Right.
That's a good indicator.
Yeah.
Good indicator. But that's a good point. I mean, that's the sound. It sounds like a freight train.
It does.
It really
it
does. Yeah.
The stillness was eerie, though.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like your first light morning stillness.
Mm-hmm.
It was nuts.
It's eerie.
Yeah, definitely is.
Yeah.
And I said this on the last podcast too, but like, I will never ignore that tornado warning on my phone anymore.
No.
No, I've slept through every single one of them up to this point.
Yeah.
And going forward, I'm finding a bathroom to just hunker in until that train goes by.
Hunker in.
Yeah, whatever. Hunker in or down.
Strapping in.
It's going down some way in a hunker. I don't know.
Yeah, it was wild.
Yeah.
It was, it was so big too. We were standing there and my wife was looking out and she's like, "Where is it?" I said, "I think it's right there." And then all of a sudden against the dark,
Right.
you could see the white water getting sucked straight up like a reverse waterfall. It
Damn.
wasn't like a water spout because it was just going up.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "That's the front of it." She's like, "What do you mean?" Because you in your mind you're looking for a
You're looking for like the cartoon tornado.
Yeah, traditional like water spout
this
we're used
thing
to down
is
here.
just a half-mile wide cloud, just
That you could touch, basically. Yeah.
literally.
Yeah.
I think there were
Yeah, it was wild. And even just driving in, Kings Highway is back open, and I had not been on it since it came through, and just looking at there's no roofs on half of these buildings, and, just honestly, half a mile up the road from the brewery here, or the tap room here, all those down trees, all those houses, just like you can see through people's back. It's unreal.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
It ripped right through.
Yeah, this past Saturday we drove through the neighborhood lake park in Spanish Lakes up and down in Fort Pierce, and just handing out donation goods, mainly to kids for the most part, just trying to give them something like beyond the traditional stuff like snacks, those types of things, and seeing the recovery effort of that, but still the amount of debris and destruction still that exists there, and some houses that are just completely gone for the most part. And I remember going by one house, and the lady said, "Oh yeah, we still have a transformer inside of our living room."
Oh my God.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
That's
So I
crazy.
mean, just nuts with regards to what still exists, and that's we're so used to tornadoes, which generally if it hits, everybody kind of gets affected roughly the same way.
Hurricanes, you mean?
I'm sorry, hurricanes.
Yeah.
Used to
Yeah.
hurricanes.
Yeah.
We're not used to tornadoes, and tornadoes are so specific on who they actually affect, and it could be 100 yards that way, and you're fine. And this house was destroyed.
Saw that on the
Yeah.
drive-in
Yeah.
because one side of the road perfectly fine,
Yeah.
and the other side of the road is just
Yeah, we were out there
yeah.
on Saturday, and you still had one of the Publix trucks, or I think it was a Publix truck that was on its side.
Yeah.
That drove through drove through the tornado, and just got tore up as it was crossing Kings Highway.
It is wild.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Sad.
yeah.
Yeah.
It just I think it started in Pahokee, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
Clewiston.
Clewiston. It came up through Wellington and into Palm Beach Gardens, Jupiter, Fort Stewart, Port Salerno.
Palm Beach Gardens. That was a
Yeah,
And that
it
was like
just
a 3-hour span, roughly.
Yeah.
Ish. Is
Yeah.
that
I
right?
mean, yeah.
Something like that.
3,
'cause-
4, yeah.
And it wasn't the same tornado. They
No.
were just ripping
They
off
said
there.
Yeah.
129 in the 4-county
Yeah.
area.
It's
That's
Like,
nuts.
and those are just the ones that got reported. Like, there's parts of the acreage that probably got a tornado that hasn't seen a human being in the last 10 years.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
But I think the testament of that is just Florida and just how resilient we are, and how quickly people come together and just rebound from this,
Yeah.
and help each other. And
Yeah.
just, that's one of the biggest things these hurricanes, tornadoes do, is bring people together, and shows how much of how responsive the community is, and how strong the community is,
Yeah.
and how strong your neighbors are.
Yeah.
So it's nice to see that.
Just Floridians in general.
No,
I mean,
sure- for
where
sure, man.
else do you go? Any water you get into, something might bite you.
Yeah.
You go out in the woods, you better be looking down. The bugs get
and
you.
wearing shoes.
The sun will get you. I mean, come on.
And
I grew up in Michigan. There's snow,
Yeah.
but you can prepare for it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, you could prepare for that. I would just say Australians probably have a little bit more optimism.
Well, right,
Because they have all the poisonous ones.
Yes.
And it's like, well, shark bit my arm off.
Yeah, right.
Getting back in the water tomorrow. Like,
Is that how Australians sound?
True.
good day, mate.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah. It's not bad.
Pretty good.
I was saying that.
It's not my best impression, but it's
How basically, Florida is the Australia of the United States for sure.
right. No.
And everybody's eyes outside of Florida.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the thing that's remarkable to me, I have a lot of friends out of state, and I've been living in Palm Beach County for the better part of like 14, 15 years. And no matter what storm is coming through, they always think I'm affected, right?
Yeah,
So it's
right.
like that storm is hitting the West Coast like hard, like Sarasota,
Yeah.
like, have you evacuated?
Yeah.
Brother, it's like,
Well, I think
Yeah.
most people don't realize how long the state is.
Right.
And you'll have family, friends fly into Orlando.
Right.
Hey, is that near you? Yeah, like 3 hours away. Yeah, but like, not near me.
Yeah.
well, that's anything that happens in Florida. So
Yeah.
it's like, but like when I mentioned the tornadoes, they're like, oh, I thought that was just Port St. Lucie. No, it's St. Lucie County and all the other counties. Like, it's crazy. But no, it's just so funny what people's perception of Florida is. And
Yeah.
Emily said it on the first podcast. Florida could be 7 different states.
Yeah.
It just could, no matter where you go. You get to Jacksonville, it's basically Georgia.
Yeah, Panhandle the same way too.
Yeah.
It's basically Floribama.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
isn't like
great
Destin
spot.
like
Oh, yeah.
8 hours from here?
Oh yeah, I had the fortune enough to live in Gulf Breeze for 2 years growing up, and what an awesome area, man.
I don't even know
mean,
that's
Oh, it's beautiful.
I mean, the water there, the fishing, the beaches. I mean, the surfing. I mean, it's a cool spot
Yeah.
to be. Really cool spot to be. But it is pretty much you're in Alabama.
But like
Um,
any treasures there are, they're all protected.
Oh, for
sure,
by
yeah.
predators in a way.
For
And
sure.
Florida's it's a treasure, man.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
place is incredible.
It's
That was one of the big things we were talking about when we had Mike Holiday on a couple last month. Is just the protection aspect and how everyone wants to come here and just lay asphalt to everything that's
Man.
here to be here. It's like, guys, I mean, we have so much to protect. Like, I mean, why the reason Florida exists the way it is because of the fact that there are a lot of areas that are protected. We're very
Right.
fortunate for that.
I feel like there's a lot of people moving down here that don't appreciate Florida for what it truly is. They come down for the beaches and the sun and the no income tax, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, there's a bunch of country clubs
and,
I can
and they
join.
don't have to pre-start their car in the morning to get
Right.
the ice off or
Right.
anything or scrape it. Yeah.
They just don't
Yeah.
understand.
right.
I mean, It's like my wife's from North Orlando, a place called Umatilla. You go up there, she's got black bears. Grew up with black bears in the backyard.
Yeah.
Right? It's not a big deal. It's not going to eat you,
No.
you know? And then you turn around, drive 3 hours the other way, you're in the Keys.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's not a lot of places you can do that.
No.
I think
No.
in Arizona, you can go from the low desert to the snowy mountains in like a 5-hour drive. But here, there's such a diversity.
Yeah.
And so many amazing. I mean, you've got springs, offshore, you go to the Keys.
There's so much to do here. I mean,
Wildlife's insane.
Yep.
My uncle
I mean,
had
scuba diving,
yeah.
like, Jenny Springs and Devil's Den in those areas.
Yeah.
I mean, things that no one even thinks about that exist, but that's some really cool experiences. there.
My uncle had a fishing camp, middle of the state, hog hunting, fishing, the whole deal. And he freaked me out. He's like, the mosquitoes out there are as big as, like the fly swatters. You're going to have to wear this bug tamer. And, like, you get alerted to that. And then you see, like, no, he's not kidding around.
No.
For whatever reason, the mosquitoes out here are much larger than anywhere else. Yeah.
But probably what you went out there to do was worth getting bit by one of those mosquitoes.
100%.
Right?
100%.
is, yeah.
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 no?
I remember
No,
growing
that's-
up, we would always go out of Black Point down in Homestead and run over to Elliott Key.
Yeah.
And we'd camp there. Growing up, I thought it was the greatest thing. My dad's like MFing me the entire time. Like, I take these goddamn kids out to Elliott Key in September,
Right.
the hottest time of the year, and the mosquitoes are just everywhere. I mean, you get off the boat on the dock and run to wherever you're going to. And I don't know if I had a point to that statement there, but it's just to the point of, like, there's some really great places to go to, but they are.
It's so funny because you can be walking on dry land, and then next thing you know, you're hip deep in water. Mm-hmm. Like, half a mile away. It's just all of a sudden like, oh yeah, well, put on your waders. We're walking through it. I'm like, all right, here we go.
Man, I don't know. Mosquitoes. I can't do them, man. If there's one in the room, it will find me. They could be inside, cold as can be. If one got in through that door, it's finding me. And they eat me alive. Alive.
You just need to go sit in a whole room full of them, let them eat you.
Sounds
and then-
awful.
then
Just
maybe-
develop all the antibodies and, like,
antibodies.
yeah.
I swear,
Yeah.
when I graduated college, I was golf career, whatever. We'll talk about that. But I was working at a golf course in Bradenton, and it was on the Manatee River.
Okay.
And the no-see-ums would literally cake your eyeballs, and just it burned how much they'd bite you.
That sounds like my
No-see-ums don't bother
personal
me anymore.
hell.
Nothing
They don't
bothers
bother me.
I mean, I feel like I've
everything
just
gets
been.
me.
I grew up in it, so I just thought
Yeah.
It was a culture shock
Yeah.
for me when I moved down here in 2004 because I thought I was hallucinating. Okay, and I'd been visiting Lake Worth like my entire childhood, right? So I moved down here and I'm walking, I'm like, what the fuck? Like they're going right to your eyes,
They
and
do.
like, yeah, and I'm like, I remember telling someone like, guys, I think I'm seeing stuff. Like, there's these invisible. Oh, that's the no-see-ums. And like, very common, like, you idiot, like.
No, I was cracking up. My parents flew in a couple weeks ago, and while they were waiting for us to pick them up, they were sitting at the edge of the airport where the dogs can go out, like the dog relief area. And my dad was like, sure enough, I looked down and there was a flea on me. I was like, no, Dad. He was like, it bit me, it got me. And I'm like, no, that was a no-see-um. He's like, oh, it was the size of a flea. It was definitely a flea. I'm like, no, those are the no-see-ums. You
You-
can't
you
see them, but
saw
they
a
find you.
no-see-um.
You know? Yeah, they gonna get you.
And then explaining love bug season to people who don't live here full time, that's always a fun one when you're trying to drive across the state and it's love bug season. And it's like, why does your car look like you murdered somebody?
Right.
It's like, well,
Means a
Murder
tarpon or
glove.
bite.
yeah,
Love bugs out, Boca Grande's on fire.
there you go.
Yeah, how much seasons of hunting, fishing play into what you can see out there.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'll take it. I mean, it's October and it's about 85 and beautiful out there and just very comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Bug spray has become my favorite perfume, so it just keeps them away.
It's part of it.
Sure does.
It's like getting in when the waves are firing. There's usually sea lice, and I got smoked by a jellyfish the other day.
Oof.
Yeah.
This is a great year
Yeah.
for oof.
Oof.
Oof is that just off bug spray? Yeah. Citronale.
I don't know. Y'all are all like, "Oh yeah, it's worth it. It's worth it." I'm like,
The worst is like the man of war when it just like
Yeah.
whips you, and like that's pretty
Sticks
much.
to you.
Oh,
Oh, man, I had it at the top of my foot one time. I was training off the beach. I was probably like 15 yards from the shore, just swimming in Jupiter, and I had one just go across the top of my foot and just stuck there. I'm like, man, it's just.
They get you.
Yeah.
I was afraid of two
Yeah.
fins when I was a kid.
did you get peed on?
No, that's
no,
jellyfish. You don't
aren't man-o-war
pee
jellyfish?
you don't pee on someone's foot when you get bit by a Portuguese man-o-war.
It's got to be somebody
Aren't
else's
they-
pee,
Stung
not
by
your
it.
own pee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does it matter? Really?
I don't know. I
I
contemplated
don't know,
it
sounds
the
right,
other
though.
day.
Truthfully, I think it's what weirdos came up with to like pee on people.
I think
Yeah,
there
you should
is.
probably go with that. Pee
It's
on
got to be
myself.
something super rare. It's like, oh, you got bit by. Oh, I have got to pee on you now. Like, yeah, that's
Yeah.
the thumbnail.
So what I get out of this, what I got out of that is that you would rather be peed on versus you peeing on yourself.
No, not
No,
at all. I
no.
was just saying it's. All right, moving on.
Well, I
don't know
just
where
say
this goes.
when I was a kid, I was afraid of two things: quicksand and Portuguese man-o-war. It just sounded a lot more devastating than they actually were. It's like, we can't go in the water today, Brian. What? Portuguese man-o-war? And I'm like, oh God, there's like, is it really the Portuguese or is it just something? I had no idea, but I was afraid for my life. And like when I found out what they were, I'm like, oh, not too bad.
I don't know.
It does hurt.
It hurts.
They hurt.
And I'm sure it would've
I've
been
gotten
like,
a
yeah.
couple of them.
Yeah,
I know.
but,
When I
yeah.
first moved down here, within 6 months of living here, I was just walking, and I lived on a little shack right on the beach, and was walking through my apartment door and kicked a snake. Didn't see it. You know,
Right.
you're just walking through your door and got bit. And I was like, I'm getting out of here. I gotta get out of this place. There's snakes. There's sharks. There's everything. And here we are.
There's
10
snake
years
sharks.
later. Snake sharks.
Yeah, so we talk a lot about people coming down here from outside of Florida, moving here. So
Yeah.
Brian, you're from upstate New York.
Yep.
Emily, West Virginia, which everybody I think knows by now.
Well, I should.
And Casey, where are you originally from?
I'm from Michigan.
Michigan, okay.
Southwest Michigan.
All right,
Yeah.
and you came down here in college?
Well, yes. Came
College
down here
days?
for college.
For
but
college.
Started going to the Keys when I think I was 2. Was the
Oh, wow,
first
okay.
time we
Oh,
went
that's
to
awesome.
Cudjoe. So that was, yeah.
What was that draw? Was it just your dad?
My dad.
Okay,
yeah.
gotcha.
We were lobstering and fishing and
Oh, man,
doing
what a great way to
everything
grow
under
up,
the
yeah,
sun.
yeah.
You know, Christmas break or spring break, we came down almost every year.
Oh, that's nice.
So
Marathon.
you went from ice fishing to like shirtless fishing.
But you went to
Yes,
like during
yeah.
that time, so I'm assuming we're the same age. You're like early 90s,
Yeah,
late 80s,
Yeah.
going down there.
Yep.
So like Cudjoe like is an awesome spot even now. Like that's where we go to go fish when we're
Yeah.
down there because like Big Pine Cudjoe is like the one places not a lot of people still go to.
Yeah.
It's not overfished, not
Stop
overpushed.
telling everybody.
Yeah.
Well,
It's a
people
se-
still won't go there.
There's only 3 places to stay, so
I was down there, I guess May I fished down, I fished out of Key West. But,
Okay.
it's still the Keys. It's so good.
Yeah.
It
Oh, yeah.
can be so good.
You can
fished
get
with-
skunked down there and not find a single
Yeah.
thing, and it's still just like fishing in
Yeah.
the Keys. You can't
Yeah.
replace it.
Yeah, I was down there in March or April this year and caught my first bonefish down there.
Nice.
Right off Cudjoe, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it was pretty solid. Kenny and I were down there fishing with our buddy Scott Brown, and he's just a good friend of ours. Also used to be a guide down there, and yeah, it was just awesome experience. I mean, being out there though on those days where it's flat and you getting a foot of water just pushing around, it's a fucking blast. Man.
Oh, yeah.
God, dude, it's like you could be out there all day, no matter how hot it is or whatever is going on. So
From what I hear, the bonefish population down there is doing really well.
we saw, I mean, some of the biggest I've ever seen in schools down there. I mean, usually you see the smaller ones, but these it's a pretty good size one. You know, they put
Nice.
up 16 inches long, so I mean, it's pretty good size.
You had
yeah.
Heck yeah.
a
Yeah.
great bonefish.
Yeah. So, anyways, sorry to digress there, but I was just
No,
talking about
no such
fishing there.
thing.
Yeah. So, all right. So, been down here ever since.
Pretty much. I mean, I went back and forth to Michigan a little bit
Mm-hmm.
through college and after college, but yeah, I came down here, transferred from Michigan State. I played golf at Michigan State, and an ex-player from Michigan State was the head coach at Barry down in
Okay.
Miami, and I forgot to go to class a few times at Michigan State. I guess that's
as one does it.
I remember a
in
comm
East
class.
Lansing, that's bound to happen.
I remember it was comm 101. I walk into this auditorium, there's like 600 people in it.
Yeah.
I look around, I'm like, they don't know if I'm here. And I didn't even go in. I just turned around and walked out, went to the golf course.
I mean, it's just comm class, you know. I mean,
You
I feel like
know.
you can pass those classes. Just,
Well, I don't know if I did.
Chances,
I mean, I guess you gotta
chances are,
like-
if you don't go, you
Yeah,
may
right.
not
Yeah,
be.
yeah. I think I showed up for whatever they called it. You know, on Monday you had the auditorium, and then Wednesday or Thursday
Right.
you had your breakout groups. I showed up for those a few times.
Right.
Probably got enough of a grade to get by, but
You're probably like that guy that everyone's like, God, we'll see if he shows up. It's a group project, and it's like, we'll see. If
Sounds
he'll
like
face
an
it.
I was the
auditorium, no
worst.
one was-
You
yeah.
did not want me in
Oh.
a group project. No, I was not not to go.
Gets
If
picked
we
last.
if we had to draw a picture, which it seemed like there was always some sort of illustration that needed to be done in a group presentation.
Oh yeah, no.
I was like, you got your guy.
I'm sure at that time. No, it was even difficult for me in going to college in like the early 2000s to get any sort of graphic design. So we always had to lean on like artistic people or people even outside of our group to like come through with like
Right.
some sort of illustration we needed. So man, that's awesome. You don't have to be project manager. You do the toughest job.
Right.
Hell yeah, man.
And I could whip it up fast.
There
and
you
act
go.
Like it took me a long time.
So was that just a natural thing you always had? Was
Yeah.
just that's awesome.
Yeah. From the time I was, I don't know, young.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
look at it. I
That's-
mean, yeah.
It
Speaks
was-
for itself.
It was dumb luck.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just, I mean, it's the only way to put it.
But staying chronologically speaking here, so you had Barry, which by the way, you probably caught the last of like the great part of time of Miami in that like late '90s, early 2000s.
It was.
That's a good
wow.
time, man.
To be a kid from the Midwest and
Yeah.
go to Miami.
Right.
I mean, you caught what was
mean-
left of the original Coconut Grove when it was
Right.
like,
Right.
yeah, that's different. No,
It
most
is-
people
it
can't
was-
see that anymore.
It was amazing. We were so dumb. We didn't have any idea what we were getting into. I remember one time we were drinking Bacardi Limon. Remember that
Sure.
crap?
Yeah.
And
It
Sprite.
still exists.
And
It
we're
was a
going to
big deal back then,
right.
man. Yeah.
We're going to a full moon party on South Beach. We're like the first month of school down there.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like September. And all the liquor stores are closed. So we end up on the other side of 95 and we go to this liquor store and you got to buy it through the bulletproof door and glass. And there's like hoopties sitting around and I'm a few drinks in and I'm like high-fiving these guys with the grills and the,
Yeah.
I mean, we were in Liberty City. We had no idea.
No,
And we get in our car and drive off with our Bacardi Limon, and we were in like the hotbed of. I think the Zopound was still around.
Oh yeah, yeah,
right.
yep, yeah.
I mean,
that
what?
era.
the worst Haitian gang in the
Yeah,
nation's
because like,
history.
when Andrew came through in '92, everything kind of just evolved down there, and it's became what it is. During that time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's quite a bit different.
we had no idea.
Yeah.
just
That's
completely ignorant.
oblivious.
And,
Yeah.
and for me, my first legit sales route was in Coconut Grove, Coral Gables, Doral, that area.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I remember I had a postcard in Collins Avenue when I was a kid. I'm like, this is gonna be awesome, and it was not that. When I got there,
It's wild.
it was a little less. When Michael Corleone goes to talk to,
Right. Yeah.
God, I always forget his name. His greatest character in Godfather is a lot less of that and a little bit more like I felt like I was like copy and paste, big city type thing. It wasn't, wasn't the same.
I swear to this day, the only reason I survived Miami, I had a fellow teammate who's one of my best buddies. He's from Chicago. He had
Okay.
never drank a lick of alcohol in his life, and he's a sophomore in college or junior, whatever we were. And he was so straight-laced. He was always with me, but kept me out of all the trouble.
Oh,
yeah, like
yeah.
basically a
I mean,
chaperone all the
I
time.
remember
Yeah.
one time coming down. We were down on South Beach, and I think I was
Into it.
overserved. And I got my arm around him, and he's like, "You gotta somehow just pick up your head. There's cops." I said, "They're not worried about us. Just get me to the car." I mean, it was like, if it wouldn't have been for him, I'd have been on the
Yeah.
beach stranded, wondering how to get home.
I feel like you probably still would have made it. You seem like very
Maybe.
survivalist, would have figured it out. Kind of could camp on the beach.
I don't think
and
you
be
could have
alright.
illustrated your way out of that one.
No, I did not illustrate my way out of that.
It's like you're particularly in this building, I've been overserved as well.
Yes.
And I asked for it,
Quote, unquote.
so it wasn't really overserved. I just took my chances.
self-inflicted.
That was like, please.
My tongue couldn't work. I couldn't speak. Like I remember Dave took me back to my hotel, and I don't remember this. It was just communicating to me afterwards that like I handed him my phone with like the numbers to get into my hotel room. Do you know what I mean? Like
I mean,
so it's like Casey, can you tell? Or hold on, let me just write this down. There, that's where I am. You could draw a map.
good
Yeah,
friends
yeah.
are hard to,
Yeah.
they don't teach you that in school.
No.
We were
No,
outside
for
the
sure.
was it the boiler room right up
Yeah.
the road here?
Oh yeah.
And we were calling an Uber to get back. So we couldn't, even though it was like a quarter mile down the road, we couldn't.
Couldn't
walk.
risk. I couldn't.
And,
he says we. It was I.
I'm guilty.
So it was after a Christmas party here, and we're outside. I'm with Brian. Emily's getting the tab inside, or we thought so, or she was calling.
No,
an
she
Uber.
was supposed to call the Uber, and then like 18 minutes later, like, where's this Uber? She goes, I didn't call it yet. I remember that.
But we're standing outside the boiler room, and I'm kind of next to Brian, propping him up, and I let go of him for a second. And he just did this like
Chris Farley dive.
just legs went out from under him and collapsed. I was like, oh
Yeah.
my god, dude.
Oh no, it was bad. It was
But then
bad.
wait, it happened again when we took you to
Yeah.
Boiler Room.
Oh, don't I know? Yeah.
He
no.
was sitting in a chair and somehow
You didn't do that off beer, did you?
Oh no, there
Okay.
was. No, it wasn't. It wasn't.
Our
just
parties
there.
always go from here to Solmar next door,
yeah.
and that's where
Yeah.
the trouble starts.
Well,
yeah.
and then
I've
Yeah.
seen that.
and then they bring out these Jello shots, and I didn't know I was a 19-year-old girl, but here we are. I did about 30 of them.
my fault
Yeah,
also.
yeah.
They taste good, right?
I'm a Jello shot girl.
They're,
Oh my god.
they're really great going down, but then they catch up to you like right in the middle of it, and that was just bad news. So I'm off that trolley.
yeah.
Yeah.
Man's
Not
gotta
going down
know.
that path anymore. And I say that every year. My first year, like my first like month with the company, I overdid it in here, and I'm walking back to the hotel feeling just fine, and I fall right in the middle of the street. No big deal. Mike Sturgis, that was my introduction to him. He peeled me off the concrete like Wile E. Coyote.
I love it.
Yeah.
Leave it to Sturge though.
No, it's like you want to make a good impression on like your new teammates and all this other stuff, and like, okay, like we're bringing this guy in, and whatever, and their first impression of me is like face first and
Yeah,
right
you
in
made an
front
impression
of
on the road.
Yeah, there
Yeah,
it is.
there you go.
Made an impression on the road,
On the road.
not anybody else. Yeah, that was good times.
All right, so in Miami, got done with Barry. Did you pursue golf after that?
Yes, it was funny. My coach. So I had like this. All of my college golf, it was like a revolving door of coaches. At
Okay.
Michigan State, I had 3
Wow.
in 2 years, and then I come to Barry, and we're going through them. Same thing. And I was playing golf with a guy. His name was Jimmy Stobbs, as we call him. And he was trying to make it professionally, and I whooped him one day, and I'm like, dude, you just got smoked by a kid, Maybe you should. I didn't say that to him. But anyway,
Rethink your career path, yeah.
we needed a coach, and I was like, you need to apply for this job.
Yeah.
So I got the word out, or he ended up applying. They hired some other guy. The other guy came to Miami, as most people did, and they're like, whoa, I can't live here. He was there for a week, and he was gone. So that we're vacant again. No, it's my senior
Wow.
year, 5th year, no coach. They call Jimmy. So he comes to work, and he ends up coaching us. And where were we going with that? That was after golf.
Yeah, after golf.
After golf. All right. So I ended up having a decent senior year. I was always super inconsistent. I'd shoot a lot of low scores and high. I'd shoot in the mid to high 60s and follow it up with 78.
Yeah.
It's just I think
Well,
it's
they-
the ADD.
They say
Well, nature of the game too. I mean,
Well,
Right,
they say-
yeah.
right.
They say
but you can't do that if you're trying to take it to the next level.
Yeah.
best
for
way to
sure.
ruin a great walk is to go golfing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good walk spoiled, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I went into his office one day. He's like, what are you going to do? I was like, I don't know. I'm thinking maybe I'll go into law school because I got a degree in sport management and business. And
Okay.
I'm like, maybe I'll be an agent. It'd be cool.
Yeah.
I said, but God, I want to keep playing. He's like, why don't you? It's not a big deal. What, a couple years, see what happens. So I got a little bit of money together, went back up to Michigan. I guess this would have been June, July, something like June. Turn pro, go out to the Dakotas, play some of these little mini tour events. Missed cut my first one, second one played pretty well. Drive back to Michigan, go to the Monday qualifier for the Buick Open in 2003. So I'm 23 years old. Win the qualifier. So here I am, this kid that doesn't know what he's doing, and the next thing you know, I'm going to a PGA Tour event. So I show up Tuesday morning, get all my badges, whatever else, go in the locker room, turn the corner, everything's alphabetical, walk around the last corner, there's Tiger.
Get
His
out
locker's right next to me. And I remember having that feeling of like when you kind of lose all bodily control and you're like, where am I? Who am I? I can't fucking breathe. And he and I had talked, and he was great. And at that moment, it was like I forgot how to play golf. So I went and played I played my practice round. Did everything, got all the free stuff I could get.
Yeah.
At that time, you got tee-up money for playing a ball or a glove. Or it was still to this day the biggest check I ever earned as a professional was tee-up money from TaylorMade Titleist. I mean, whatever. I was like, give it all to me. And
fanboyed out of over Tiger Woods and made the most money. Yeah,
shot 80-80, which I hadn't shot 80-80 in a while. I mean, it was bad. I played awful, but I was just completely out of my mind.
Right.
I had the highlight of it, though, is one of my best buddies played in the NHL. He's a head pro up in Michigan, and he was caddying for me. And on 17, that's like their party hole, Friday afternoon. He's like, you know what? If you can make birdie here, it'll put at least a little icing on this disaster we've had.
Right.
He's like, so I end up hitting it up like 2-footer, make the putt for birdie. You know, people are hooting and hollering, and they don't know that I'm going to shoot 80. You know, well, they might.
It's not like Augusta where there's a leaderboard every.
They're worried about betting on the putts and yeah.
So we're walking to 18. He's like, "That's the second highlight of my sports career." I was like, "What's number one?" And he said, "Well, when I was 19, he's playing for the Minnesota North Stars at the time."
Okay.
And he gets brought up to the NHL, and it's Saturday night hockey in Toronto. And they're playing the Blue Jays, and
Maple
his
Leafs.
names are Maple Leafs. Yeah. Sorry, baseball, hockey, whatever.
It's
Same
World
difference.
Series season. I get it.
I was going with it.
His name's on the board to start, and he's like, "Man, I got nervous." And then we get out there. I'm getting nervous warming up. Then they play what's that?
National anthem?
Canadian national anthem. Yeah.
Oh, Canada.
Yeah, oh, Canada. And he said it stopped, and he literally forgot how to skate. Like he said, I was so nervous, and I was like, oh, shit, okay. I guess we all do the same thing.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it kind of alleviated the fact that I had played awful for 2 days in a row. But so
Stage fright.
Yeah.
Stage fright's real.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, shut down.
I did that at a ninja
I was hoping that
competition.
you would have like a Happy Gilmore moment, or like you walk in there, it's like, hey, where's the ping pong table?
Right.
Like, Casey, we're meeting on the 17th green at 9:30.
Right. So anyway,
Where's Tiger Woods? I gotta kick his ass.
Yeah, he was actually really nice.
No, I know.
I had a lot of run-ins with him that weekend, and he was great.
That's awesome.
But after that, I played for about 5 more years, highs and lows. Lived out of the back of my car. I was 28, 2008 when the market went south. Sponsors kind of dried up. I was pretty much done at that point.
Gotcha. And you're still living in Michigan at that point, or based out of Michigan?
No, I was in Bradenton.
Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
I was going back to Michigan in the summer. My family was in the golf business, so I could go up there and play and practice.
Gotcha.
Do all and
There
a
you
lot
go.
of the mini tour events would go that way.
Okay.
So
golf's done, and you decide to start picking up a pencil and
kind of
drawing. Yeah.
Yeah, it was more of a what am I going to do now?
Right.
And the transition. My father was director of golf.
Okay.
I'm like, okay, I'll become a PGA club pro, and I'm working for him. And I just start. I actually rewind to May, so that would have been like August when I started that situation with working at the golf course.
Right.
In May, I'm still down in Florida. I'm working at a course in Bradenton. And a member takes me to Boca Grande fishing.
Okay.
And as a thank you, he won't let me pay. So as a
Right.
thank you, I do like a doodle of a tarpon jumping with the museum in the background, the lighthouse. And all the guys, the redneck guys, Florida crackers that I worked with, saw it, and they're like, holy. And this is when Guy Harvey's like at his peak.
Yeah.
And they're all a bunch of crackers wearing Guy Harvey shirts.
And there was nobody else out there at
Right,
that time in the
right.
marine artist industry
Nothing.
at that point. Yeah.
And so I do this drawing, and they were so everybody loved it, which was just fuel to my fire.
Right.
So then, of course, I started doing more and more. And another golf connection down the road got me in front of a publisher that put art in Bass Pro Shops. So that worked out.
Wow.
And all of a sudden,
That's
all that,
awesome.
and then I got in Marlin Magazine. This is like a year in. And it was just like a snowball effect
Just-
at
That's
that
awesome.
point.
Happened so quick. That's incredible.
Right.
Now you got like art everywhere, but like in the hotels.
Yeah.
In Hutchinson Island and
What's the Opal?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Opal Properties?
Opal,
Yeah, we
Yeah.
do a lot of work with them.
Yeah.
They're
It's
great,
beautiful.
great family.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard nothing but good things.
They
They're up
own
and
the-
down.
They own
Vero Beach, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know what the name is now. They changed it.
Oh, did they? I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Vero
It
Beach
was-
Resort?
It was the Holiday Inn. No.
Oh,
right
the
here.
Holiday Inn.
Yes.
Oh, I don't know.
Yes, they're amazing.
Yeah, because they all the way down to the Keys.
Yeah.
With some of their properties.
Yeah.
Was drawing and art something you always found yourself gravitated to, like brought a lot of joy, or was it just something that you were just naturally good at? That like
I'm gonna make a career out of it.
You know, it was funny. It was one of those things that my mom always pushed it.
Right.
She was a merchandiser for the golf courses, and I'd design logos and different things. She always pushed it, but I was an athlete. You know, I was
Right.
too cool to be an artist. I played basketball and golf. And
Completely
that's what I
different
wanted.
niches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Right.
but art was always what I went to at that level when you needed a release. You needed to forget about what was going on, school, whatever.
right.
I'd sneak away and draw a picture. Or if I had a girlfriend and I wanted to impress her, I'd draw.
But it was something that you were just a natural at.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's incredible.
But I was also, it's funny, I look back at it now, I was raised by a village of artists. I
Right.
mean, I had a family friend and he had surf shops on the, like the great, you know, on the Lake Michigan coast.
Right.
The guy was just an amazing, but it was before he was doing screen printing. It was kind of before the graphic design world.
Right.
He was amazing, and he taught me a lot. My mom had friends that were fantastic painters and whatever, and they all just, you know, they all gave me little
Encouraging,
pieces
yeah.
here and there.
Yeah,
It's
it's
the
pulled
old,
together as you grew, and
takes a village to raise the Indian or the warrior or whatever
Right.
you want to say, and I had the village.
no, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you still have like the first drawing you ever did, like any of your first sketchbooks or anything?
I have a lot, yes. But the first real one that where I realized I was good, I was in Young Fives, and we had read like Smokey the Bear,
Okay.
and then we had to illustrate it. And I remember when they put them all up on the blackboard, you know, 5-year-old's art, and then there's mine that's like jeans and a hat. And,
Did your dad do this for you? Did your parents help you with
and
this
I
one?
remember being like, wow, why does it look so much different? And people liked it. So I was
Right.
like, of course, if when somebody likes what you're doing, you keep doing
just
it.
keep
Yeah.
doing it.
Yeah. So I actually, my senior year of high school, I had a Brit Lit class.
All right.
And once again, it was like our final project. You could either do a book report, a presentation, or paint a picture. And I was not a great
Love that.
student, right? I might have fallen asleep in class every day.
Right.
It was a good thing I could hit a white ball. That was the only way I was going to college because it wasn't based on my grades. So, of course, I picked, it was Maybeth or
Macbeth.
Macbeth,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Maybeth?
Macbeth,
Oh, that's
Okay.
the new name of it.
Maybeth.
Yeah.
That's the Florida
Macbeth.
version.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean-
This is the Scottish version is Macbeth, right? Yeah.
So, yeah.
out damn spot.
Yeah.
But in Florida, it's Maybeth.
Somewhere
out,
they say
out,
it.
y'all.
Hell, that was a long time ago. So I remember I painted this picture, of course, like the night before it was due. I turned it in. 2 days later, I come back to get my grade, F. I'm like, what the hell?
Right.
I mean, it was really good. So I stay after class. The teacher tells me I got to stay after class. And so I sit there and I'm like, well, what's going on?
What the
She's
hell?
like, I can't believe you've done this. And I was like,
Oh, she didn't trust that you actually did
done
that.
what? Right.
Really?
She thought I turned somebody else's painting in
Oh, that's
as my own work and failed me. So we had to walk down to the art teacher.
Yeah.
Who was, I had her for 4 years for every class.
She knew
I
your
bought. Oh, yeah,
capability,
of course.
yeah.
Right.
And she laughed, and she's like, yes, Casey did that.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Oh my
I would
God.
have been like, let me
Yeah.
draw
I think,
right
and then
now.
she only gave me a
But-
B. And we still have the painting. My mom's got it at home.
That's awesome.
It's fantastic.
No, you got to be on that, man. That is the greatest dodge
Yeah.
bullet of all time.
Right.
I mean, write a book report on Macbeth or paint something. Come on.
It was probably a
Oh,
begrudging,
presentation.
Yeah.
a begrudging B because damn, she probably really wanted
No.
to put that F down because
Yeah.
you probably were falling asleep, not paying attention. She's
Oh,
like,
I slept
how did
every
he
day.
just pass my class by a painting?
That was where he wrote Maybeth instead of Macbeth on the
Yes.
page.
That's right.
That's why you got the B, because it's Maybeth.
Maybe I should go back and read it again.
only time for me, we had in college, it was my senior year, we had to do like a report. I think it was civil rights movement, and you can do a paper or you could do a video presentation. We did a video presentation.
Oh, boy.
Are you kidding me? 12 minutes. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was a pretty damn good video. But
Love.
like, yeah. And pretty entertaining to a certain degree, all things considered. But I was like, dude, we can do this video. It'll take us 3 minutes. And like will at least get a C or a B.
Because how much fun is
Yeah.
it when you can either write a book report or be creative?
Right.
Most people
Yeah.
want to be creative. They are creative.
That's exactly right.
Motion
yeah.
sensors.
You know?
Makes sense.
But no, that's no, the greatest dodgeball of all time. That's
Right.
great. I love that story.
Yeah, it's a true story.
Yeah, it's amazing because my younger sister Stacy, she ended up going to be a curator, and she went to for grad school, went to Bard up in New York,
Yeah.
and great artists, but the curatorial routes, and I never even think about it, but and by no means is this comparison to what you're talking about, but I would draw a lot. It's kind of embarrassing to say what it is, but she always brings it up and reminds me I used to do this stuff, and like tries to pull that creative art side out of me, which I stifled for so long, I guess, and never really let flourish. But yeah, I would draw these like battleship scenarios all the time, and it was all like just straight lines and
Of course.
yeah, I don't know, but
Yeah.
it reminded me of that when you were saying when you were just ADD, like you just wanted to go do something, that's what you would do. Yeah, so
I think everybody has a creative genius
Correct.
in them, and parents or teachers or
Awesome.
just
Thank you.
other peers ruin it because for some reason everybody thinks that like this painting is how it looks in the start.
Yeah.
It
No,
takes a
yeah.
month to get to
Yeah.
that point.
Right.
You know, and if a kid sits there and doodles something out that took 30 seconds or 5 minutes, you know, they're not very good. Well, yet for 5 minutes, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
The composition's good. The use of color's great.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
their imagination is amazing.
I mean,
and the parents crush it.
It takes Pop Ross 45 minutes to do his stuff.
Oh, what
Yeah.
he
So-
is
Just
brilliant.
happy
Yeah.
accidents.
Brilliant.
So, if you want to talk about like human ambient,
Yeah.
that's Bob Ross, and those
Yeah.
videos are free on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Safe way to do it.
Yeah. No, for real.
But
Yeah.
you know, so much of having that community around you growing up and having those people to influence you like that and just provide the, just the feedback and direction, like little things you pick up to kind of improve as you grow. It's amazing just to have
Just to
that,
believe in.
Yeah.
that
in it.
resource, you know.
Yeah. I
And
look
support
back
too, like and just like support and pushing you to keep doing it. So,
Yeah. I mean, you know, it's like now raising kids, everything is like, how do I raise these kids in this world, right? And I look back to the people.
you guys just had a
we
kid
have our
last
third one.
Okay,
Yeah,
this
he's,
year, right?
4 months.
Okay, yeah.
We've got 6, 3, and 4 months.
Yeah, so
man.
we saw you at Nick's party and she was
Yes,
pregnant. Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
that's right. Yes, what was that?
Oh, that's
last
right.
October or November, right? When's Nick's birthday? October.
Oh, it was last year. Yeah,
Yeah.
That's, God, fucking year
Yeah.
flies by, but yeah.
Good.
But
I forgot
I just the community that was around me, not only for the art, but for golf or just sport, that the hunger that they put in me, you
Right.
know, it was like it didn't matter what I wanted to do. It was like I was just hungry to do it, you know. And nowadays, I just don't see that with people.
Yeah.
That's a good point. I mean, trying
You know?
to, you think like what established that hunger for you growing up? Like what was the catalyst there for that? Just the way you were raised and
I think some of that expectations. I mean,
Yeah.
there were always expectations, and I was not a outlier by any means when it came to school or the things that you were supposed to be good at. I was not. You know, I had to work hard at it, tutoring, all of the just endless hours of things I didn't want to do that I had to do. And then growing up in a family business, I started working when I was in first grade.
yeah.
You know, like
So work ethic, all those things established early. Yeah.
expectations. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
I never
my-
heard it put that way. Expectations. That's pretty good. I like
yeah.
that. Yeah.
I mean, my dad, he expected it of us.
Yeah.
That's what you do. And then when your last name is attached to the place, you got to do it better than everybody else.
Yeah.
So don't half-ass your job. And if you do, we're going to have serious issues. And
Yeah.
that's the way it was.
Established a lot of good principles early.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
that's
solid.
That's like when I started this business. I had no business trying to, I didn't know what I was doing. I could paint a picture, but I just didn't say no, you know?
Right. Yeah. Well, that's that. The thing is, that's a quality of most successful people.
Right.
Because if you're like, I don't know how to articulate it because I'm a beer in Sunrise City. Thanks for the light tackle, Nate. Good call. I could tell I was kind of out of it.
Nate's our chaperone now.
Yeah.
So yeah.
No. If Nate's in charge.
With a Sunrise City in his hand, or sorry, light tackle in his hand. Yeah.
But so many people, I like to say, squander their opportunities because they second guess themselves.
Right.
And I've always been a proponent of like, when preparation meets opportunity, just say yes.
Yes.
You're there.
Yeah.
You're already prepared for the moment.
You know what's funny? You can either be really dumb and succeed or really smart, but you get caught in that middle ground. You spend more time thinking about what you should
Yeah.
or shouldn't
Yep.
do. I don't know which end of that I was, but
Right.
I think back about it, and I think of some of the decisions and things I did. I'm like, man, that was really dumb.
Because
But they work out.
so many people would go, well, I'm not an artist.
Right.
No, I'm a
Yeah.
golfer, man. Like,
Right.
why do you think I can? No, I'm not doing that.
Right.
And meanwhile, like, you had the gumption to be like, yeah, no, I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
Well, so much of it's
Yeah.
paralysis by analysis too, where you overthink it, and that'll just it paralyzes you. And I find myself getting that way a lot of times, where
Yeah.
you just and you get to the point past that. If you keep driving past that threshold, it doesn't matter. Make a decision to move forward.
Right.
If it doesn't work out, you're going to fix it.
I think we
Bottom
all
line.
just forget that we're all still searching for that little kid inside that we all looked for, the things that we liked, the things that we did, and still trying to not necessarily go against it, but still trying to find that kid inside where it's just like those passions that you had, those things that you were good at when you were little, but still, like you said, like over analyzing it, trying to figure out if it makes sense in today's world, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Which for you at that time, you loved drawing, you loved art, but you were like, damn it, I gotta be a golfer.
And I didn't want to be a golf pro. You know?
Which, I mean,
I grew up surrounded by them, and I love every one of them. But I was like, man,
Yeah.
long days,
Yep.
especially in
Unforgiving days, too,
Michigan
yeah.
in the summer. I mean, the days are so damn long,
Right.
and everything you don't. But then, of course, I start my own business where the days are 24 hours.
You're always
People
on.
are like, "Oh, you're surfing in the middle of the day." I'm like, "Okay, you don't understand."
No, I
know.
think beer people can understand more than most.
Yeah,
Last Friday we did what was called a goodwill mission. People like, oh, I'd love my job to have beers all day. I'm
Oh,
like,
my God.
Do you know what it took for us to get to this point that we could have beers on this Friday?
Literally.
it,
And we're still sitting here somehow feeling guilty,
Right.
feeling bad about it, being like, I should be doing this, I should be doing that. But it's
Right.
just like, can you just sit down and enjoy this fucking beer?
Right.
And
Right.
appreciate it. And
But the conception is no one sees the bottom of your iceberg. Everyone
Yeah.
sees you surfing and doing
Right.
fun stuff, using the right side of your brain, having a
Right.
great time with life. The other 22 hours were not that.
I mean,
Yeah.
you just ask my wife; she wants to kill me. half
Right.
the time. Get off your phone, And I'm
Yeah.
like, well, everything's here.
right.
It's not like I'm scrolling. It's emails and texts and
Nonstop.
But it is. It's like it's funny because so many people will say, they think, oh God, I'm not saying my
No.
life is a dream, right? I love it. It's my dream.
Of course.
But the sacrifices and the work that go into it, people don't see that.
No. And it's hard to even taking the time to even try to explain to them.
Yeah.
Because you can't explain it.
No,
It's
Yeah.
just,
no.
this is what you do. It's a perpetual emotion. You just don't
Right.
stop.
Right. I mean, when I started, it was like we were going to shows every week. It was all
Right.
We'd go from Orange Beach, Alabama to Key West
Yeah.
you do a boat show in Orange Beach and then a dolphin tournament in Key West. And there were times that I went places and didn't sell anything.
Right.
And I'm like, what am I doing? And then all of a sudden the phone would ring and you'd have Opal Properties call you up and
Yeah.
tell you that they love your artwork and you want to, hang it in their hotels. And you get these little bones that would come your way.
Right.
And then, again, you're on this island by yourself financing it. I mean, early on,
And
it
there's
was
so
like,
many-
how many credit cards can I
Oh, yeah.
So many
run?
parallels to our business, man, because
Right.
of like, we do what they call off-premise samplings. It's like at your Total Wines, at your ABCs and things like that. And one you go to, you're selling every beer that you got. They're out of stock by the time you leave, and there's other times you're just staring at the wall.
Right.
Did I
Like
even
I've been
sell a
here.
six-pack?
I've been here for how long? 15 minutes. It feels like 3 hours. Like and you're just there.
Well, it's a
and-
hard
yeah.
thing as you go through it. I mean, very similar to starting the brewery beer fest all the time. You're going every weekend. You're at a beer fest, sampling your beer, getting it out there, and then all of a sudden you get that call like, "Oh, I brought your beer because I had it at this event and I own this restaurant, whatever it is." And it builds, and then you become so exhausted with those fests that you're like, I don't want to do them anymore.
Yeah.
But you have to still keep like, what is that balance of like
Right.
letting go of some of them, but still keeping the it's guerrilla marketing. It's how you.
is.
It's the word of mouth. It's the relationship building, is what I mean, I'm sure most of your best clients have came from word of mouth and just showing what you have out there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
shows,
Yep.
where they're physically there to see it. It's
Yeah.
not like Instagram,
meeting you because
you know?
your art's great, but they also meet you.
Yeah.
And they put the personality with what they're buying. That's
Yeah.
worth 10 times any
I
other
always
situation.
say the thrill is in the kill, and I feel like that's what keeps you going. It could be like completely stagnant, and you're just like, kind of like fishing the same way. You're just like all day, no fishing or no catching anything. And then finally you get that one fish and you're like, all right, I'm ready to go back out again. I'm ready to do it. Keep going. But it is
There
that
is.
like,
And but the kill is relative, right?
Right.
The kill early on was like selling an original, and then it was, I mean, I've had times in my life where I sold a painting that was going to cover the bills, and I was like doing cartwheels.
Yeah.
And other times where I got, big checks for royalty deals, and I'm setting up for a show, sweating my ass off, and I'm like, I can't even enjoy it.
yeah.
So it all changes. I think now the kill comes in the rewards of what you get to do, like to surf, like,
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
or to, we ran across last week or 2 weeks ago and had an amazing day. Shot a bunch of fish, just boys drinking light tackle on
There
the
you
way
go.
home.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Not before, though.
Right.
Too many damn sharks around nowadays.
But like you couldn't do that, if you worked for like the big man, right? Like if
No.
you were working some corporate role or anything, it's just like, hey, I've done well. I'd like to do this. I would like to take off this Friday afternoon. You
Yeah.
can't do that.
No.
And working for yourself and
And that's the
sacrifice.
sacrifice you make.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
you're going to have sleepless nights of
Yeah.
trying to figure out, okay, rent, I got credit card, 20% interest on that one. Okay,
Right.
Which one
You're
am I
balancing.
not going to pay? That's the way it was.
Yeah.
And most people can't stomach that,
Right.
And that's, I know a lot of people that have talent or ideas, and I'm like, you got to commit.
Well, I
It
feel like
can't
we
be-
also live in such a world that's immediate gratification and that immediate win, that immediate money in. Like, you're like, yeah, it's a great product. It's a great idea. It's whatever. It's
Yeah.
whatever. And they want that immediate money, that immediate satisfaction. And then, like, say, yeah, you go 6 months. You're like, okay, I give up. I didn't do well. But, it's just
Well,
the
To your point and what Casey was saying there, that fortitude to keep driving
Right.
and stomach that side of it. I mean,
Right.
the financial side of it's tough, and most
Oh.
people will pack up and run,
Right.
Because they can't fathom being in that situation. But the most important thing is just keep driving forward.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't stop, because if you stop, it's all going to fucking
Yeah,
collapse.
yeah.
So, Casey, it sounds like you really gravitated to that Florida lifestyle pretty quickly.
Yeah,
And, like,
of
I think we were
course.
talking about ahead of time, like, we're, where I come from, New York, a lot of my people who move down to Florida don't necessarily assimilate. Takes them, for me, 15 years to buy my first pair of flip-flops.
I've
Yeah.
been
What,
down
you
here
own
a long
flip-flops?
time. I don't wear
I have
them either.
one pair, and you've seen them. I wore them in Key West.
I was going to say,
Okay.
I've seen them.
All
I
right,
was
all right,
like,
all right.
there's been one time I've seen you in not tennis shoes.
Right, exactly. But I mean, between like the deep diving, the golfing, the fishing, the nautical and
Yeah.
like that stuff. You really
It's funny though. I did even a kid coming from Michigan. I grew up on a lake. Was diving early.
Right.
It was more or less. I just took it to the next level when
but
it
it's
came down.
so different in that part of the country.
Yeah.
I always like to say, like, you
Yeah.
get to like, Colorado and lake fishing there is
Yeah,
drastically different
right.
from lake fishing in Michigan and certainly where I was in New York.
Yeah,
And
it's
West
like
Virginia.
Everything
Our lake
goes on
fishing's a little
steroids.
different, too.
Yeah.
down here.
Yeah, it's a whole new level.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
almost like, I feel like it's like competitive sports.
Yeah.
Like the way that everyone gears up, it's like, all right, we're not going to do anything unless we go offshore. I'm like, oh shit, okay, strap in.
Yeah.
Let's go.
I think that's
Right.
why I'm so intimidated by offshore fishing. Just like growing up with lake fishing, and again, like
Yeah.
the lake fishing that y'all are talking about, we didn't have that kind of lake fishing. It was more river and everything in between.
Right.
But yeah, it's a different intense ballgame.
Because sight unseen is the first time like we're actually like meeting today. I'm like, this is a Florida guy. I don't see Kalamazoo at all.
Yeah, yeah.
And like even like that laid back kind of like, I'm like this guy's been in Florida. Like
It's funny though. Where I came from in Michigan is kind of that same vibe with
Right.
with snow.
yeah.
I grew up on a big lake that there were a lot of people that were there in the summer and not, they weren't there year round.
Right.
And fishing and diving on the lake and,
Right.
all the things that we do here.
Yeah, the opposite season.
Right.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine lake diving. That sounds terrifying.
Free
honest.
diving or tank diving?
Lake.
Oh, lake diving? Oh, it
That's easy.
depends on
Yeah.
if clear
I'm not
one,
saying it's not
it's
easy,
incredible.
but I
Yeah.
just like.
The only thing
Lake
is
Placid.
that
Think
part.
Lake Placid.
Florida doesn't really have like the folk legends that we do like in the Northeast and certainly in
Right.
Michigan. It's like
We got
that's,
Lake Placid.
That's the old Shawnee monster that lives in that lake. Like,
No, we just have 1,000 predators in the ocean trying
right.
to kill us
We
when
have
we're down there. Yeah.
You have real things.
Yeah.
I feel like we're forgetting about the gators. We
got-
gators.
we got
and the
a lot of
anacondas.
Yeah,
And the
Florida has
pythons.
the real things. No legends necessary.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, but a
there's
gator's not going to get you when you're in the water with it. He's going to get you when you're on the
Oh.
shore. Yeah,
Really?
that's how it works.
It's usually how it
Yeah,
works.
yeah.
I feel like.
That's why they tell you don't walk your little dog on the water at the coast.
I just
I'm
feel like
not a
maybe we
big
shouldn't
gator
put that
fan.
out there.
Yeah,
I
it's-
think they're awesome, but I
Ew,
don't
I
know.
hate them. I don't like them at all. I don't like really many of the reptilians. I don't like them at all. Anything that crawl, like lizards,
Anything
reptiles,
scaly.
snakes, the scales.
scales.
I mean, fish scales fine, but like any of those other things, the lizards, the dinosaurs, the prehistoric looking things, not interested.
So growing up in Florida, South Florida, in the Panhandle, we moved to Raleigh, North Carolina when I was in high school, and you have lakes up there. And I never really experienced lakes, period, growing up. I'm used to clear water for the most part, and going to a lake and the water is brown, you can't see anything to it. I was super weirded out for a long time. Like, this is so strange. And you're talking about hearing reports of people get bit by beavers and all these other things. I'm like,
Well, they like to tell you all that. Now, the lake I grew up on was spring fed. It was a glacier lake. It
Okay.
was crystal clear.
oh yeah, up there the lakes are
Yeah,
amazing.
I mean,
yeah,
it was amazing
Yeah.
until like late July when you really got a good algae bloom
Yeah.
and you kind of lost the viz. But in May, I mean,
Oh, I mean, I was
Incredible.
up there year before last, and it's just amazing how clear the water is.
Yeah.
I mean, it blew me away.
Yeah.
What was that? The golf course up there? We flew into.
you played
It was Harbor
Harbor
something.
Springs.
Yeah.
Oh, that's God's country up
Dude,
there.
that's awesome, dude. I mean, it just. You have this little manufactured community that was built right there in this little harbor.
Bay Harbor.
Yeah, Bay Harbor. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I
yeah.
was trying to think of.
Fantastic.
Just amazing. They all
Yeah.
drive the little Mokies around.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. Yeah.
What's the Carlos little island?
Mackinac Island.
Yes,
Mackinac, yeah.
I'm dying to go there. Is
It's
it?
awesome.
I'm
It's
dying to go
absolutely
there.
awesome.
There was one point during COVID I was trying to go, and it was like one of the places that was open, and it makes sense. I get how they would shut it down, but that was definitely like, I'm like, yes, fudge, no cars, there's golfing, just sounds like where you want to go.
Michigan is an awesome spot.
Yeah.
I mean, I went from one peninsula to another.
Right.
And you really,
Yeah.
and it is awesome. Northern Michigan up there, Harbor Springs, Petoskey.
It's like we just
No, it's
Gorgeous.
amazing. I mean, just
other side of the peninsula
Yeah.
here is Cuba.
Yeah.
And over where you are, it's like Toronto.
Yeah, right. Same difference. No.
Basically.
I feel like I definitely haven't explored anything up north. Like, I've been to like those places, but not in a way of like experience what the state actually offers.
Yeah.
we'll do a
Yeah.
trip to Wisconsin one day, and I'll show you Wisconsin, a cool state.
Cool
too.
spot.
Yeah.
I might go.
I've pretty much
Maybe.
traversed this country east to west and north to south. I haven't
Yeah.
done a lot in the northeast, but
So when you were in the golf
big,
circuit, were you driving pretty much everywhere? Oh, so you saw a lot there.
Yeah, saw a lot
Yeah.
there, and then even in my business now, there were times. I mean, we did a trip. It's called SCI, which is Safari Club International. It was a big, like if you wanted to shoot the biggest game in the world, this is where you go. And
Okay.
I'm like, well, that's my kind of clientele.
Yeah.
So we go to Vegas and do this show. We got to drive out there because we got all my art.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did a 15-day trip, and it had a few stops and played golf in Scottsdale and saw
Right.
my uncle who lives out there. And then we went up to Zion and hiked, and after the show, but Vegas, and then we went up. I had to deliver original in Denver, so we went up to Keystone and skied, and then back around. And
Sounds horrible.
it was 15 days. This was before kids. It was epic. Just
Oh,
to drive
yeah,
across
yeah.
this country, like,
And where
there's
where you're talking about too is like all the natural beauty in the world.
right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's the thing about this country is
Yeah.
if you get outside of your little community that we all live within, 10 miles of the water or whatever the hell the statistic is, it's unbelievable.
Oh yeah.
I mean, driving, you get Texas, you go for a day,
Yeah.
and you just keep going, and you're still in Texas.
Yeah, a day. And by the way, you've passed 9,000 different cultures, and
Right.
different scenarios. I mean, San Antonio is all rivers, but Houston is all traffic, and
Yeah.
then Yeah, that's really.
I remember driving from Houston to Austin with my brother because he lived in Houston at the time, and you're passing the King's Ranch right there.
Yeah.
That was I saw my first Wawa ever.
Yeah.
I had the
Yeah,
experience
yeah.
of like my brother
Oh,
selling me on
Mine
it.
was Bucky's on I-10 out
Oh no,
there.
I'm sorry, it was Bucky's.
gonna say, I
apologize.
thought it was
Bucky's.
Yeah,
I
Yeah,
said
yeah.
Wawa. Like,
yeah, sorry, I
I
meant to say
was like,
Bucky's.
okay.
Not bragging
And my
about
brothers-
that,
my
but
brothers-
man, Bucky's, they're building one on Andrio
So this is
Road.
like 10 years ago, and my brother's selling me on the beef jerky they have there. Like he'll go in there and get a bunch of beef jerky. I said, well, how much do you get? He's like, a couple pounds. I'm like, all right, cool. So we're like 3 different versions. It's like $200 worth of beef jerky. I mean,
Jerky,
Ryan, do you
yeah.
want this much beef jerky? Oh yeah, we'll eat it. I mean, we had maybe
Man.
a fraction of that for the entire
Yeah.
drive. Yeah, it just
Yeah.
sat there. Yeah.
You can get lost at Bucky's.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you have a plan. You know what I mean?
It's a point to
yeah.
stop. Like when my sisters came down and we were driving back, I was like, gotta stop at Bucky's, have to stop at Bucky's. And I'm like, what the fuck is Bucky's? Why are you making me stop at Bucky's? And I go in and they're like impressed, but not in the same way that I, to this day, after like 100 stops, I'm still like, we gotta stop.
Yeah,
And
the
they're like,
place
this
is
is the
epic.
they're
Yeah.
like, this is the Walmart of gas stations. And I'm like, and
it's
it's
not.
amazing.
Walmart. It's Cracker Barrel, Walmart,
Cracker
Wawa.
Barrel?
See, I,
Yeah.
I step it above Walmart. It's like
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's
Like,
like-
It's like Cracker Barrel on steroids.
Yeah.
but it's also,
Yeah.
but
I
I
have
mean,
a Bucky's blanket, man.
it's also
Yeah,
like
of
Dickie's
course.
barbecue because there's hot brisket on the board.
Yeah, yeah.
Man, if you're not there for that, you're missing out. Come on.
The last time that I went, was driving through, I don't know, like to the Outer Banks and stopped in, and the Bucky's mascot was there. And I mean, I was dying. I'm like, all these kids are around with their parents taking pictures, and I'm like, oh my God, I just really want a picture of the Bucky's
So
mascot. And I,
you know you could buy the Bucky's mascot costume at Bucky's.
Oh, that's great.
You
I
can.
should do
No.
that next week.
I was going to say,
Do it.
beer
In
mile.
my neighborhood? yeah.
Is that what you're
Halloween.
dressing up
I mean,
at?
Halloween's
Yeah.
coming up.
I
I mean,
should.
that's
Yeah.
sounds
For-
perfect timing.
Yeah.
Right?
So
yeah.
the road trip I went on right when COVID started, my dad, my nephew, and I were in Snowmass, Colorado. His mom and dad were flying in the next week, and they're like, "Listen, you got to leave there, and no flights out of town." So we rented a car and we drove from Snowmass back to West Palm Beach.
Yeah.
So my trip was Snowmass to Wichita, Kansas.
Okay.
I had the leg of the trip where I got to sit passenger to watch all that natural beauty. We're right on the Colorado River. When you say Purple Mountains Majesty, I drove through them all.
Yeah.
And then I got in the car, and my leg of the trip was from the border of Colorado to Wichita, Kansas. And if I told you I moved the steering wheel a little to the left and to the right, it was way too
And
much.
it's fields.
Straight line.
Fields.
Only like when you saw a wind turbine, like we're near social like civilization. Not a chance. No.
I've been to
Yeah.
Wichita once.
But-
and
Yeah.
Cool spot.
very-
It's cool. Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
I don't know. I was there because a previous boyfriend proposed to me, so I was just out there. He was in the Air Force, and
As one does when you get proposed to, you naturally go to Wichita.
Right.
that's where he was stationed at. And he proposed to me like literally after graduating Air Force school.
Yeah. Air Force school. What are you
I'm like-
What are you going in for? HVAC. What about you, Air Force?
So he proposed to me, and I'm like, in front of everybody. And then like
Oh,
the next step
no.
was like over there. So go over there. I was graduating high school, and his parents flew me out, and I'm like, I guess we're
boy.
going to Kansas, I guess, and go out there. And I'm just like, what the hell? Like,
Thank God you didn't get
I-
married at 18.
I was literally.
Wichita did it.
I was a fresh it was a month after turning 18, and it was like like I said, I
It's like,
gave
you
that
know,
ring back. Real
She's
quick.
young, and I don't know if she's into getting married, but Wichita will win her over.
That's it.
No, I literally got strep throat and was in the hospital.
It's a great way to duck it. Oh, man.
We
Your body just said, shut down.
we
shut
don't
it
like
down.
Kansas. Give this ring back. Anyway, moving on.
Anywho,
But
Moving on.
the point being, though,
Yeah.
all of that beauty out there, and there's
Yeah.
nobody around.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't see people.
Right.
You get going on some of those highways, and if you don't have gas,
well,
You're
yeah.
SOL, man.
yeah.
You guys are really
We're-
plan out the stops, the gas up, and everything
You
else.
do.
We're all crammed in these nooks around this country, and there's this huge, vast. I mean,
Yeah.
even going across the state. I
Yeah.
drive. My family's over on the West Coast, so
Right.
I drive back and forth. There's nothing out there.
Yeah, once you get on 60, it's
That
It's
Yeah.
awesome.
yeah.
It's awesome.
They're
That's
not
a
even
good drive.
trying to build on 60.
No.
It's the only place I think in the state where they're like, no, we're good.
70,
Yeah.
go down to 80, go across through Clewiston.
Because there's so many different ways you can take to get there, depending on where you're
Right.
at. And
Yeah.
it's like 60 is the main drag where you're up where we're at.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, it's just great. Because my dad's over there in Tampa too, and like
Yeah.
it's a great spot. It's a great
I
drive.
love
You don't want to be on that
Yeah.
road coming back home at night, though. That's
Well, the key is making sure that you're paying attention to somebody that's going to pass like
Pass.
7
Yes.
cars at a time.
yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it's a weird drive.
Yeah,
yeah.
but it's awesome.
yeah.
Yeah.
I only think of one thing, and that's getting proposed to and never returning again to Kansas.
You need to go back to Kansas for redemption.
I mean,
Let's like
it's only been like 15
Go eat
years, so
some.
maybe.
Go eat a big tenderloin sandwich out there, and drink some beer in Kansas City, some barbecue.
let's exercise that demon there.
Come
and
on.
take you back out there. So
Leave the demons alone, dude. Let them be. They want to stay inside.
There's not many places in this country you can't find a gem.
No, that's
There's
exactly
a
right.
gem.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Don't matter where you go.
Yeah.
So going back to your art career, what you're doing now, you have this. How long have you had when did you open your studio down West Palm?
I opened one in Jupiter, I think, in like 2012, and
Okay.
then we were there a few years. Then we decided we were going to open a retail store on US 1, kind of US 1 and North Lake. We had that for a few years, but it wasn't big enough.
Okay.
So then we moved to the warehouse, I want to say in 2017. So I've had that there. You know, it's hard now
In
because
Jupiter?
in just off North Lake, Lake
Okay.
Park technically.
Right.
It's hard because now I'm here and I have a studio at the house.
Right.
But I kind of want, I look at my kids, I'm like, hell, they can come to work here soon.
Yeah.
I'm looking up here.
Yeah.
It's hard to leave West Palm though. You know how it is.
I don't know for sure. I mean, because
There's
it's the access to so much more people. And,
Well, that
yeah.
and just, I was there for 12 years before I came up here.
Oh yeah.
And it's like a part of me.
Are you
know?
down there or do you like live up here?
I live here.
Okay, that's what I
Yeah.
thought. Okay.
We moved up here in 2020 in the chaos of,
COVID.
Well,
Overall.
yeah.
the only part of the state that was like, what's going on?
yeah.
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 I
I moved
think
up.
that-
Yeah. I was in
Yeah.
Jupiter for 20 years and moved up here in 21.
Yeah.
Ish. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's changed so much.
Oh,
you
yeah.
I was about
Yeah.
to say.
You're
yeah.
probably like me. Like, I remember, for me, it was before kids, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, Guanabanas Friday night,
yeah.
or
Yeah.
this, that, and the other. But that's not my life anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I have this nostalgia about it in so many ways down there. But then I go back, it's
Different.
every corner
It's
lot.
insane.
Yeah.
I've been saying that for the past
Yeah.
was
Yeah. She
down
has a
there-
condo down there.
Okay.
We go down
Yeah,
there quite a
it's-
bit still. And yeah. Sorry. Go ahead. Interrupt you.
It was down there for 5-6 years, and just in the past like 3 years, it's
exploded.
like, I mean, you'll get off of Indiantown and it's like condos going up. I was turning down Donald Ross and they tore down like everything right
How-
after the bridge, and I'm just like,
How about that?
It's just lost
that
the-
Juneau is like,
I know.
it's
Yes,
crazy. I don't know
Juneau,
where the people
right?
are going to go.
I mean, Juneau in itself is its own culture, and obviously they're building it out to the point where it's just like, no, it's going to become
Right,
It's
crazy.
not going to be the same, and everything's just different. And even like you'll be sitting at the bar now, you'll be at Utiki, and not necessarily Guanabanas. It's its own perfect little vibe, but you'll be sitting there and you just notice like it's so different
is.
from just 5 years ago, a few years ago, and it's sad. And I
Yeah.
own down there, and I don't even enjoy going
I
down
know.
down there
it's
anymore.
such a shame.
Like
And
back
people-
when like Culinary Cafe just opened up, like Tim
Yeah.
and Jenny, like that was the spot.
Yeah.
I mean, and now
Yeah.
they're in Parched Pig, still a great spot.
Yeah.
But like, it's the clientele. It's just different.
It
Yeah,
is.
and it's not
Yeah.
what you're. It's lost that old Florida vibe.
Right.
What
and I
makes-
think North Jupiter still has a part of it still.
Yeah.
But like
Yeah.
you have to kind of go into like Tequesta almost now to get.
Yeah.
it.
Well,
I
not
mean,
even
But that
like
place, it's
Oh.
Tequesta's nuts now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Like, it's got to the point now, and just like from our industry, the who's it's and what's it's, but all the restaurants that are going into those mom and pop places, the people that were like, no chains, right?
Right.
And the brick and mortars and everything like that. It's now these places that are New York people that are coming in, and
Yeah.
these Miami, and like not just say Miami, but like they just have spots in Miami, they got
Yeah.
spots in New York, and now they're bringing that up here. Not necessarily saying that vibe, that culture is not there, but it definitely takes away from that old Jupiter, that
Yeah.
old
Well, Jupiter
Florida.
just used to be so laid back, man.
Oh,
That's
awesome.
it.
The
You could be
best.
sitting next to a
Awesome. Yeah.
millionaire, and you wouldn't
Yes.
even
Yeah.
know. And now it's just like so money. It just feels so money. It feels so Palm Beach. It just feels so different.
It is different.
It's just
It is
different.
Starting to creep up into Port St. Lucie right now too.
I
Stop
think
it.
everywhere. It's
Yeah.
coming up here too.
This is a natural
I mean,
progression. I mean, I remember
Yeah.
growing
Yeah.
up down south. I remember coming to Jupiter look with my dad to look at houses up in that area. And at that time, that Jupiter in the mid '90s was farmland.
Yeah,
I mean, for
nothing.
the most part.
Right,
And, yeah,
right.
and-
I used to think that everything was so far away when I was a kid.
Right,
My grandma was running an apartment complex in Lake Worth, and I didn't know this as a kid. I found out like later she had a fear of Interstate 95.
Yeah,
she
well,
just
I
wouldn't.
mean, can't blame her.
deservedly
now,
so.
now, look, I understand it's the Indy 500 now, but back then it wasn't nearly as aggressive. At least like as a kid, like when we got on it eventually. But like I always felt like things were a billion miles away. So when I moved down here, like, oh, we're partying in Jupiter tonight. I don't know if I can. That's like 2 hours away, right? I'm like, no, dude, just get on 95. I'm like,
be there.
what's that? I have no idea what you're talking about. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
It just everything seems so far away, and truthfully, like the state has shrunk to me.
Oh,
you know?
for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Or good spots. Like, even if it's just like, again, separating like Juneau, Jupiter to Cuesta, like it's become like very town, like
Yes.
just very,
Yeah.
that's your spots. It's no longer like you can sit there and say Jupiter, and that to a degree encompasses, Palm Beach Gardens, Tequesta, Jupiter, Juneau, and all that spots. And now it's just like, okay, now you got this pocket, and like there's
Yeah.
the places where you can go hang and it be just like old Florida. It just feels like old Florida.
That's the
Yeah.
thing up here. I mean, when we started looking, we were looking at houses in Jupiter, North Palm, and then randomly I end up looking at Melbourne, and I'm like, holy crap, I can have 5 acres
Dude, it's so-
on the
Yeah.
water
It's
with
awesome up there,
beach
yeah.
access.
Yeah.
Well, then I was like, that's too far of a drive.
Yeah.
So I started reining back, and I had a buddy who's a realtor in town here, and I called him. I'm like, what do you think about? He's like, what do you mean? Come up, I'll show you around.
right.
And I mean, I got take my golf cart. I can come down here. I run across the street and torture Nate with the most
Yeah,
god awful waves. But boy, we have fun. I mean, it's right there. It's I catch snook, tarpon, you name it, off my dock. I mean, it's heaven.
that's incredible.
It is.
Yeah,
It
we are
really
truly
is.
in like this area up here in the Treasure Coast, Fort Pierce, Vero, even Stewart. I mean, you have access to so much stuff, and the fishery is just goddamn
Ah,
amazing, man.
it's amazing.
I mean, it's just and
Yeah.
the things surfing, fishing, everything in this area, golf. It's
Oh,
God, what do you
the
know?
golf courses here are
Oh, insane.
incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, I've played pretty much everything in the state, and Hawks Nest to me it's as good as it gets.
really
And I'm excited to play it once it's redone here.
Yeah.
I mean, golf course is phenomenal. It's got the dunes, the undulation. I mean, it's got shots out there that you feel like you're at Pine Valley. I mean, it's
damn.
with the pines and the dunes, and it's fantastic.
It's killer.
Yeah.
And
but
speaking of Stewart, I think that might be the last little old Florida spot.
well, I think Fort Pierce is the last
Yeah.
spot.
Yeah,
That's
in the
fair.
Treasure Coast,
That's
Fort Pierce,
fair.
the last spot. Yeah.
Treasure
Stewart's-
Coast, but if you're getting down like right in the middle, like if you're just right in the middle between Jupiter and Fort Pierce, you got Salerno. I feel like Salerno is that little
Yeah.
pocket.
That line of demarcation.
Yeah,
But that's
exactly.
changing fast too. I mean,
Stop
it's
it,
crazy.
Casey. I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah. Because once you go across the Brevard line, nothing against Central to North Florida, but it's different.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
changes.
well, that's that frost line, right?
Yeah.
You get out of the tropics
Yeah.
at that point, and you are in a different part
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
part of the country, more or less. From you're just no longer the tropics of Florida. I mean, that frost line's right around here, and that's once you go north of that, it's different.
This place is awesome. And thank God there's
Yeah.
a moratorium on building height,
Oh,
or
yeah.
it would be done.
Right.
That's fair.
That was
That's
one
a
of the good things
point,
that
yeah.
Jupiter did too. I mean, preserving so much of that beach, Juneau and Jupiter.
Right,
And that's
right.
amazing right there. I mean, have
What
that
did
much
they just
waterfront.
pass? Jonathan Dickinson, that they were trying to build out
They were going to build some golf courses.
Golf courses,
golf
yeah.
courses.
Yeah.
That's it, and they like vetoed against it completely.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, a little
For
birdie,
now.
a little birdie spilled the beans of what was happening because a lot of that went under our noses a little bit.
What?
Yeah, the golf course. Yeah, we weren't supposed to know that, and some dude
He
broke
worked
protocol.
for the environmental agency with
Yeah.
the state of Florida. Kind of
Oh
came
my
out.
gosh,
yeah.
yes.
So
Did he get like pew pew?
Yeah. Not killed, but he got fired. And
Okay.
yeah, but they did a GoFundMe for him, and they raised like $200,000 for the guy.
in like an
Yeah.
hour.
Yeah.
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 Well, it's just like stop trying to take like our shit away, like our good
But,
shit.
but
like,
let's have
stop.
let's have an honest conversation about this because Nate and I had this conversation. All right. So, granted, this is our set aside state parks, right? And they're going to come in and build these golf courses. And they talk about land and they talk about plants and they talk about animals. Those animals don't give a shit if it's a state park or if it's next to 95, that they just go and flatten, right? Like you go down 95 now in Port St. Lucie, it's like square blocks. Bobcats don't care,
No.
right? And so everybody gets so hung up on this. It's in this park, right? And I'm right there. I don't want to develop anything in a park. But at what point does all of this destruction of this habitat come under some real scrutiny of, like, where's the money coming from?
Right.
Who's building what? Are these Florida jobs? What's going on here?
Right.
Like, really, if
purchased
we
the
want
property,
to talk
yeah.
about, whatever in the world they want to call it about climate, let's just talk about habitat.
Right.
In Florida, it's getting decimated all over the place in huge numbers. But then they go to put a golf course in one park and everybody's up in arms. But they drive by the square miles of land that are getting flattened,
Right.
put concrete in, and all these things. And I'm like, wait a second here. Everybody's, until it hits like the heartstrings, people want to start barking about it, But it's the same.
To me, it
Bobcats
feels
don't
like,
care.
what can you do?
Well, I think
When it's like a plot
I
of
don't
land,
know.
like right there again, just right there. This one is just like right there by Thirsty Turtle, at the
Right.
end of the bridge. When that was all gone, I was just like,
That scrub was cool too.
right?
Like, yeah.
And I'm just
That was
like,
unique for
why?
that area.
But
Yeah.
like, what can I do? And then for some reason, maybe because again, it's like protected, the land, state park, whatever, where you feel like, oh no, like I can have a say, a voice, whatever, and I
Right.
can't
Well-
sit here and talk
well,
about this land that's about to be sold.
Do you think it's more of the fact that it's an actual park and people are using it
Yes.
is the fact that we
Yeah,
don't have as
but-
many
Yeah.
parks?
But
Yeah.
I mean, they'd still be able to use it if there's golf course. Arguably, more would use it.
Are
But
you just trying to golf, Casey?
no, I'm not saying there needs to be a golf
No,
course there.
not
But my
yet, yeah.
point being is, everybody gets up in arms. But the stuff they're doing around here, and it's a lot of these people coming that, like we said earlier, don't appreciate Florida for what Florida is.
Right.
Like the wildlife in Florida. Like, I'm kind of a nerd for it, right? I love all of it. And at my house, I might have planted some
Invasive species.
some cameras, because I knew there were some cool animals around.
Yeah.
Some motion or
Motion
what do you
activated
call
cameras,
it?
yeah.
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 Trail cam.
Trail cams. I'm
Yeah.
losing it.
Yeah.
You said that so secretively, like you weren't allowed.
And down in
Emily
the
was
mangrove.
certainly hoping
it's
it was something
amazing
else.
what I see down
Oh,
there.
I'm sure, yeah.
And if I ask any of my neighbors, they've got no idea. And if I told them, it'd probably alarm them. And they'd be like, what? I'm like, you've been here for 20 years. They're there every night. You have no idea. They're not bothering you. But that's this state. It's this gem. And most people don't appreciate or even understand
Right.
what's going on around them.
Do we
And
think that
so-
if we built out golf courses, et cetera, in our national parks, and like you said, they're going to roam where they roam, but like,
Well,
We don't need any more golf courses. Let's just
No,
put
I
that.
don't.
Yeah.
We don't need
Especially
any
in Jupiter and Vero
It's
Beach.
like
Yeah.
making
Two places that
another.
don't need
It's
that.
like making another T-shirt store in Orlando.
Right.
We don't need another one.
Right.
Yeah, we don't
Right,
need
right.
it. But my point
Yeah.
being is the issue
No, because
could
it's
be way
happening
larger than-
it's happening everywhere else but those parks. I
Right. So
think
you're
the
saying
idea
kind
is
of-
that
Right.
the parks, to a certain degree, like the thought process is that they're protected.
Right.
Yeah.
So why do we
Right,
need
right.
something that's whatever? Like, and to
and
your
I
point,
don't
be
know
like,
what
yeah.
that Bobcat's thinking. Maybe he's like, hell yeah, it's the free park.
Well, I think
and then,
the positive aspect is how resilient nature is, and they can adapt and live within
Right.
the
Yeah.
environment together. And like I said, to your point with the trail cameras, well, you don't see it 99% of the time.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember like I would ride my bike up and down Ocean Drive in Jupiter and Juneau, and one time I saw a bobcat.
Yeah.
I was like, holy shit, I saw.
But they live there, and they're there
Exactly.
every
Have you
day.
Yeah,
ever
yeah.
seen that video of that guy pulling up to like his community? I think it might have been in Florida. Pulled up to his driveway, and he's like the happiest guy in the world. He's like, "Hey, good morning!" And all of a sudden, a fucking bobcat attacks his wife, and it's
What
on.
was that, rabbit or something?
No, it was a legit bobcat.
Well,
And-
I know, but it had to have been, because normally they're
They're not
like
gonna- yeah.
stealthy.
No, there was something wrong with that. It was
Yeah,
the middle
yeah.
of the day too.
Damn.
And the video, the guy's holding the bobcat up like this. He throws.
Oh, I have seen
It's
that.
the best.
I mean, don't get me wrong, it
Yeah.
can happen. But
It's a bobcat. Attack my
you know,
wife.
It's also-
I've had people in Vero. I saw somebody one time, and we were all rafted up, and this gal won't get in the water. And somebody's like, "Hey, why aren't you getting in the water?" She's like, "Oh, the gators." And you know what? I looked at her. I said, "But I bet you swim at the beach." She's like, "Yeah, why?" I'm thinking, there's no. I mean, yeah, there's gators up in the river. There's
Yeah.
certain gators. you know what we see on that beach damn
Oh, yeah.
near every time we paddle out.
But yeah, people.
But they don't even get it. Just my point. People don't understand what this place
But
is.
people love dolphins. And I'm always like, oh, please don't get me started on the dolphins. I'm going to get myself started on the dolphins. Let's be real. I'm like, everyone, you come every.
And here went the podcast.
I'm just going to say it for everybody. Can we say
The
rapist
no,
on
no.
podcast?
I'll take the therapist for 400.
But I'm just saying, like, that's wildlife. We'll leave it at that. Like, everyone's
Wildlife.
not. No one's afraid of the dolphins, where I'm like, dolphins, man, they're ready to like attack in the way you don't want to be attacked.
I don't know
we're-
about that.
Emily has a certain fiction against dolphins, and we'll take the boat out. I'm like, oh, babe, look, dolphins are I'm like, yeah, I don't care. You know,
Oh, it's just like, not
Alright,
do
no,
I
I've-
not
no, I've-
care,
I've seen the vitriol.
but it's not even that I don't care. But I go down a whole whirlwind about dolphins and their aggressive ways.
Emily's expecting them to knock on her door and be like, "Hello, my name is Flipper."
No, I don't. That's my point. Is like
The state
they're
of Florida
not.
requires me to tell you. Like she's half expecting that.
I don't like the dolphins. We're just gonna leave it at that. I can't stand the dolphins. So
Interesting. That's an interesting one.
all right.
we'll leave
So
it
if
to
we've
me.
learned anything today, do not go to
So
Wichita.
you may have inspired Casey today with art, dolphins.
right.
You know,
I don't like them. I don't like them one bit.
She doesn't
but,
even
hey,
like the Dolphins, the Miami Dolphins. Doesn't even
Facts.
like
Yeah.
those.
facts. I mean, why would I? I don't care enough to.
Fair enough.
segue in for a second. So,
Sorry.
just talking about Casey's art for a second, and
one of these?
once you see this stuff, and I'm not trying to blow smoke up your butt right now, but like it is
Oh, okay.
unique in the aspect of like it's so that cross between it's like the cleaned up, and this is no offense to Guy Harvey, but it's like a very grown up version of Guy Harvey. Guy Harvey. Like you see this stuff, especially the black and white stuff, that painting right there. I mean, that's stuff that you can, as a guy, you can sell to your girlfriend or wife that I can
Yeah.
hang this up. And that's a big differentiator to me of like just the way your stuff works. And isn't so much it blends in and has a theme to it versus being the focal point,
It's
but also is the
aesthetic.
focal point. You know?
Your art is so aesthetic, and it does appeal to every category, every home in that way of like whether it's office, hotel, bedroom, what have you. It fits if it's the woman's taste, if it's the man's taste, because it's fish and wildlife and everything like that. But like, thank you, Sarah. But agree with you,
I
especially since
appreciate
you do
that.
the black
Yeah,
and
it's-
white. The black and white.
We had
is
this conversation
beautiful.
years ago, and I remember Nick brought it up to me. He's like, I finally found something Nick or Ricky will let me hang up.
Yeah.
It was one of your pieces, and because it works, it does blend it with a theme,
Yeah.
but also is the focal point. You know, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I try to, with my art, try to get it as real as possible
Oh, yeah.
for me or in my eye, And it's funny because going back to Guy, I have a ton of respect for what he's done. His art, he's a cool dude.
Oh, yeah,
Talk
sure,
to him, yeah. He and I have a good relationship, but he has more experience underwater than anybody. I mean, the guy's been all over the world with the biggest game, you name it, he's seen it all. But his way of interpreting it is his way,
Mm-hmm.
and it's, I mean, he's the Don, right?
Right.
Dude,
He's
I mean,
the OG. I wouldn't be sitting here.
his
Who knows?
shirts with a pocket were the unofficial
Right.
Florida uniform for at least 15
Right,
years. I mean,
right.
yeah, if you went to a Bell's or any of those places, that was the
Yeah.
unofficial uniform of Florida.
Yeah.
And
I mean-
he's still cranking along, and we share stories every once in a while and whatever else. But I felt like, in order to put a piece in somebody's house that they're going to tell a story to their buddy about, like, oh my God, do you remember that day?
Mm-hmm.
You can do that when it's real, and it's kind of, fishing. People are like, man, everything always looks so pissed, and I'm like,
Well, yeah,
that's
you're-
a doggy, that's a tough world down
yeah,
there.
exactly. You're always on
And
guard.
that's kind of
Yeah.
the way it is, So aesthetically, and sometimes the colors I feel like are more drab than what we had been exposed to in the past.
Well, it's the colors underwater are so much different when you
Yeah.
actually see it above water.
Yeah.
And most people, you take it for granted, and I think that's one of the biggest things as a Floridian, doing the things we do. There's such a large population has never done it.
Yeah.
So you're trying to interpret to them what that looks like.
Yeah.
Based on your experience in your diving, your free diving, scuba diving, surf, whatever it is, fishing.
Yeah.
And trying to communicate that to them. This is what it actually looks like.
Yeah.
In reality.
I felt like in my art when I got going, it was about painting the fish.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had one of my good buddies, Dave Worth. He's an amazing sculptor. He carves wood. He said, Casey, you got to focus as much on the atmosphere as you do the fish. And I was like, shit, you're right. So I started to study, the way the light refracts in the water, or the other stuff that's in the water, and it's all as important, that atmosphere, to try to get that atmosphere right.
Right.
It's like,
because you can't articulate when you're out there fishing and see something flash in the water.
Yeah.
And you know what it is typically based on what you're accustomed to. And like that flash is so unique based on how the sun's shining, clear day, whatever it is. And it's unique.
And fortunately I've had the opportunity to pretty much dive with everything I've ever painted and film it. So I've got lots of great reference, and, you start looking at the idiosyncrasies or the things going on. Like, I was looking at a video of a hogfish the other day, and the light reflection was going through his eye, and his eye was magnifying it down his face. It wasn't a light beam. It was actually the light going into the eye and down the face.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's interpreting the medium and telling a story without telling a story.
Right.
It's one thing, like the fish, that's magnificent.
Right.
But something a little bit more in depth, the habitat,
Right.
what's going on there. That tells a story all to its own. That's pretty cool.
For sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So as far as like your exposure as you've grown this art studio, and where do you go now to sell? Like where's the most unique place you've been to sell your art or deliver your art, I should say?
I can't say on that one.
Okay.
Oh,
All right.
Is it coveted?
Where's the place that you didn't sign an NDA?
What's the next place you can talk about?
You know what? It's cool. It's one of those things that I've put art and met people that I never imagined. Idols that I looked at in my life when I was a kid, that everything revolved around them. And now they have my artwork hanging in their boat or their house,
Right.
And sit down and have breakfast with a guy that was like an icon beyond.
Well, if it's hanging in a boat, it's probably a pretty big boat that you're looking at.
And to be able to sit there and rap with him about fishing, and you're like, damn.
Yeah.
Were you rapping?
I was trying
Talking.
to. I'm not very good at it. Not very good at it. So yeah, that and then taking my kids, like going down to Capitana Hotel in Key West, where I've got a piece that's 25 feet by 16 feet,
That's
and them
awesome.
looking at it like, wow, that's Dad's artwork, because they're starting to. So stuff like
That's
that's really
awesome.
cool.
Yeah, I mean, this, it attributed to the beer side of it, like seeing our place, having beer at certain spots, like having 3 draft lines at Sloppy Joe's in Key West. That's like a little surreal.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
holy crap, I'm in Sloppy Joe's, and we have
Iconic.
3 beers in here.
It's just like those
how does
iconic
this-
feelings.
Yeah.
For you guys.
I took my nephew to Publix the 2 weeks after our 12 packs launched.
Yeah.
And as we're walking down the beach, he knows that I'm going to look and I'm going to twist our beer. I'm going to touch it. I'm going to move it around. But I hear him go, there it is. There it is.
Nice.
Front facing 12 pack right there before I had a chance. So like that, not the
shit
same,
your-
not the same as a 25.
Shit you're proud of. Yeah.
But no,
Yeah.
but it's funny how that happens and the parallels here. It's like pretty funny.
Yeah, it's like it's one of those things that there's the things that you aspire when you're a kid, or and you're like, God, if I could ever go there or do that, and then all of a sudden you're there. And you're
Well, and
like,
there's the idea of
Holy
it you
shit.
had when you were a kid, that what it actually is reality.
Right.
It's just,
I mean, it kind of goes back to the old thing of, you start this business and you're just trying to survive, and you don't realize where and what can happen.
Right.
And then all of a sudden you realize, well, shit, I'm just going to get up tomorrow and see what happens. It's like, you don't know.
Yeah.
Who knows who calls?
Right.
Who knows where the beer ends up, or who knows who wants a painting
you
tomorrow.
really are in a somewhat reactionary mode at
Yeah.
this point of like, and let's just react to it. And
Right.
usually it's
I
pretty
mean,
cool. Yeah.
There's a lot of times that I just am like, wow, I
Yeah.
cannot
You have some pretty cool murals down in the Keys too, right? I've seen your stuff down there, driving down there.
Yes, we got stuff there. I did actually really the only big mural I've ever done. I did it at Shark Wake Park down in West
Okay,
Palm.
West Palm,
yeah.
yeah.
Or Greg,
Yeah.
Greg Norman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
That
Well,
was cool.
outside of just word of mouth and everything and digital marketing. I remember, I was bitching one day about Google and how emails specifically, like I'm on your newsletter, and there was just like one point I was just like, all the people I want to know about the things that they're putting out there, they've all ended up in this promotional, unfocused inbox. And then I remember Nate saying one time about how you were mentioning how that's where all of your emails were going. And it was just like how much, especially like artists and people, and just rely on that kind of stream of newsletters, letting people know. Is that taking effect for you as far as?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, going back to the beginning, I would say that if it wasn't for Facebook, because in '08, that's right when Facebook went from colleges to everybody.
else,
Yeah.
And you could literally, everybody saw it. Like
Right.
you put something on there and people started like, it was in the feeds, you know? And now it's this algorithm of you don't pay, you don't play.
Right.
And, it's.
I mean, all your newsletters go to the unfocused side, where it's like the promotional side, and I'll get like, I'm like, how am I getting ads on my Gmail? Like, how am I getting all these ads? And those are at the top. The sponsored ads are at the top, and then I start getting things that I want to see, that I'm subscribed to, that I want to know about, and
Totally.
I just imagine how that just kills like artists and people.
You gotta pay.
Well, and to her point, I was seeing your stuff's on. You guys leverage TikTok a lot now. I've noticed.
Well, I was going pretty good on it, and then I was starting to get a little. The views just kept going down.
Yeah.
So then I was like, oh, we gotta pay, I guess. Apparently.
Don't do that. Just so you know. Just
So
being
on
it now.
I gotta send more on it.
Yeah, Emily's
Get more going.
Don't
somewhat-
say it.
All right, I won't say
I
it.
don't.
She knows a little bit about TikTok.
It's just.
Yeah.
Well, just meaning like.
I don't know anything about it, so
She's a wealth of knowledge. So
I didn't know
seriously,
shit about
yeah.
it, and then all of a sudden I had to know shit about it, and it's just so different between all the platforms, of course. And I mean, I was on Instagram, but if you could even say that, because I feel like that's the millennial and above generation, and then the Facebook, of course, and TikTok. I feel like they've, you would think it was just the Gen Zs, but it's definitely everyone is flocking over to that because of the ability to take whatever niche you're in to the next level and how quickly it can happen. But all the platforms definitely pigeonhole you into a box. And what I have learned is the more you pay to play on TikTok specifically, the more, even though they're pushing it, they're promoting it, it's like still they stifle, like that video that you put out it will generate views because you're paying for it. But as soon as you post your regular things, you're just back in that little box. And then you're just like, what the hell do I do? So they're just pretty much saying, just keep on posting. Keep on. I know.
I
it's
was
exhausting.
doing it every day pretty much, and then I got a little flustered. I had one video that got like 70,000 views, then it was like 30, and then 5, and then 400,
Well,
and I'm like, geez.
So funny you said the old days of Facebook. I did an event 13 years ago where I dressed as a banana. I was working for a company that sold a banana bread beer, and people I didn't know weeks after that, like, hey, you're Banana Man. That was 2 posts that I put up.
Yeah.
But people liked it and like whatever. And now it's like we put up like an event for like a tasting, and people like, no, I didn't see it.
Yeah.
And,
Totally.
And if we're not
Yeah.
putting dollars behind it, people aren't going to see it.
Right.
It's the organic. I think that's too another thing where people are so sick of, like, we're always getting sold to. We're always getting all this information fed to us, where it's just like, where's the authenticity? And people
Totally.
are craving like like natural lighting. Stop selling me something. Just tell me something, and like make it be a way that gains their attention past that
That
5
takes
second
it to this whole new AI level.
Yeah.
Of
Yes.
like,
Yeah.
Oh,
that's a whole nother animal.
craziest thing ever. The best and worst AI story. So before we started this podcast, Dave and I were talking about doing something different, and I just plugged in, hey, we're Sailfish Brewing Company, and what would be a script for a podcast? And it goes, hi, this is Dave Boucher, president of Sailfish Brewing. I didn't put his name. I didn't put any information in
That's
there.
crazy.
It extracted
That's crazy.
that Dave was the host. And like it was like this whole thing. I'm like, okay, no, we can't be in this business. No, we can't be in this AI
Yeah.
business.
No.
Yeah.
Again,
It's
it takes
terrifying.
away from that authenticity.
Somebody told me that. They're like, oh, you need to load your art into this and see what
Not a
AI
chance.
can
Oh
do.
my
I was
God,
like,
don't do
no
it.
way.
Don't. Yeah.
No
'Cause, I mean,
chance.
way.
there goes your originality,
'Cause
your
then
artwork. Someone's got to spin off of it. Someone
It'll
might have
be-
an NFT.
It'll be
of
this
it.
painting with like a McDonald's visor on or
Oh,
something. Yeah.
God. Who knows? I mean,
And the M will be all jacked up.
right.
Like, yeah.
Right.
McDougal's,
Yeah.
McDowell's.
No, well, not Macbeth. What was it?
Maybeth.
Maybeth.
Yeah.
Dynamite.
Well, guys, I feel like we could go on for a long time, but we're already an hour and a half.
Yeah,
so I'm gonna
and
kinda
let me just
wrap it
interrupt.
up. Yeah.
Is that choke?
Nate has been looking forward to this podcast since the time that we were walking around Jeff Register's studio before we were ever thinking about doing a podcast. Well worth it.
All right.
Yeah,
Good,
this is
good,
like
good,
absolutely
good.
incredible.
I was
Yeah.
upset that damn hurricane came.
Well, I told Dave, I'm like, well, maybe we should be on our best behavior. Like, this is Nate's
I
guy.
ain't
Yeah.
that button. No chance. Nate knows that.
Just letting Nate know I was not prepared to be on any best behavior.
Yeah, good.
As you never are.
Good. That's when we're all the best.
That's
do my
it. We're
best.
going to Kansas.
Well, just want to highlight the fact, and thanks again. I mean, we just celebrated 3 years in Vero.
Yeah.
Happy to have your artwork in here since we opened up.
Yeah.
People still talk about it. Hopefully, it's generating some awareness
Yeah.
for you and some sales. And just really thankful to have it in here. It really complements the space and what Vero kind of is in this spot. So really clean and easy and very symbiotic to our branding and logo as well too. Simple,
Yeah.
It's
clean.
Florida.
Yeah.
I was
Just
pumped
Florida.
to put it in here.
Yeah.
Are you gonna do any sorry, sidebar here? Other wildlife? Or are you sticking on that fishing?
I
thing?
mean, right now the fishing's
The
paying the
fishing thing
bills,
got you.
but
Yeah.
I mean,
For
eventually, if I could really, I got.
Yeah.
He's got a whole Bobcats on trail cams series.
Watch out.
That'd be like pretty cool with the eyes lit up. You know,
Yeah.
That'd be
It-
pretty
it's
sick.
Still
Yeah.
Florida
yeah.
themed. Even if you picked it to like the Florida's state things, like the Florida
For sure.
animal, the
I
Florida
do
bird,
have-
the Florida. I mean, you got a lot of.
I've thought a lot about that. Like I've unfortunately right now between everything, I wouldn't have the time to. But I would love to do big black and white pieces. You know,
Right.
20-footers
Right.
of all sorts of
Sure.
anything from.
Is that your favorite thing to do? Is the black and white?
Yeah.
Is it? Yeah.
It's my
Yeah.
favorite.
I mean, I love to paint in oils, right?
Yeah.
But this is the best.
Yeah, it's super unique, and like I said earlier, I mean the way it complements fits into a theme, but also is the focal point too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your
it's-
easiest medium to use? Like
Probably.
pencil.
Pencil
I
or
mean,
charcoal.
obviously, it's
Yeah.
just like
Yeah.
blending
Yeah.
and shadowing and.
It's
all
always,
that stuff,
people will tell you that drawing is the foundation to painting. You learn value with one color in your hand, and value is everything. Well,
Right.
not everything, but composition too. But you really truly learn value with black and white with
Yeah.
charcoal, and that's what I love about it. And there's so
yeah.
much negative space.
Yeah.
Sometimes you end up putting, in a painting, you got so much going on. You're like, fuck, there's too much going
Yeah.
on here. Where-
One thing to focus on.
yeah,
Yeah.
we're black and white. It's like here, and then you've got all this white negative
Yeah.
space.
No happy spaces,
Yeah.
or maybe happy accidents is what.
Happy
That's Bob
accidents.
Ross.
Bob Ross. That's
Happy
what I mean.
accidents,
Little
yeah.
happy accidents.
That guy's happy accident.
We can do whatever we want in our world.
You're just the shadowing.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I don't know. He was
Well,
so
not
good.
just that,
He
but
could
yeah.
just like one quick gesture, and it was like a rooftop with smoke coming off.
No,
You're
well,
like, how the hell did he do that
No.
with a palette knife with straight white?
got a palette
You know?
knife, and while he's going, anybody can do this. Bam, bam, bam. It's a fucking mountain.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
perfectly.
Like, you
Unreal.
can sit there and paint a mountain. He does, and it's
Yeah.
done.
He goes,
you know?
we're just going to add a little indigo blue. Bum, 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 bum.
Uh-huh.
And okay, so that is an ocean with a reflection.
Yeah, yeah,
So
exactly.
that's not what I got
Yeah.
here.
We're going to put some snow on this roof. And he just, palette knife, bang, bang, bang.
I've watched so many of those.
No,
Just-
I'm telling
Maybe
Because
you.
you'll
sometimes
do-
I do get, when we go back to like our conversation about the realism, and you get so hung up on these details and looking this way that it's like you don't want the viewer to look at it and their mind fill in the blanks. You want to
Right.
make sure that everything's anatomically correct and this, that, and the other. Where he was just like, okay,
Yeah,
so
well-
painterly, and he just,
It looked like a photograph. He's like, and you could do this too. I go, but
So-
you don't know me.
yeah.
Is this a opportunity where how they have the paint and sip classes? Would you ever
No,
do?
not right now.
You don't want to come out and
Not
be
right.
like,
Not right. Never.
Yeah,
Not
right.
right. Never.
What about
It's
paint,
a joke.
paint and pour? It's all you can drink light tackles.
There's not many people. Yeah, there we go. There we go. We can do it.
I mean, it'd be
I can whip some stuff up, and we could do some
inexpensive
fun,
to do. Hey, here's
But-
your pencil.
Yeah,
No, I mean, I think the next step, honestly, is doing an actual like can, like of
Yeah.
something.
That'd
be
like,
badass.
Yeah, for
That would be
just
badass.
do something that
black and white or something like that.
I love
Yeah.
the black and
Super
white idea.
cool.
See,
That would
Yeah.
be
We're on the
a
trial.
a
I'd love
nice
to.
kind of one off for like we talk about with light tackle doing a seasonality aspect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Getting Casey involved in the maybe summertime aspect and doing something like that with the white can. Pretty cool.
That'd be badass.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
Even
Yeah.
like you could even reverse label that the same way where you do the black
Yeah.
with the white.
That's a
Instead
good
of
point too. Yeah.
yeah,
black
yeah,
with
yeah,
white.
yeah, yeah.
I like that as well.
For sure.
Ideas. We have
So
them
much
and
room
we
for
love them.
activities.
Start drinking and talking, man. Ideas
It's,
can
I
flow. You
think
get the
it's
right
just-
group.
Our favorite thing to do.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Amongst all your free time, you can just slide that in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nate saying, "Shut the hell up."
All right. Well, guys, this is going to wrap it up. Casey, just real super. Thanks again for being on today.
Thank you.
I mean,
That was
loved
awesome.
having you, and
Yeah.
just your story, how you came to be where you're at now, is truly
Inspiring.
inspiring. Yeah. Sorry,
Very
Lindsay.
inspiring.
Thanks,
Like-
Emily. She
Thank
fills
you.
in my words sometimes.
I see your wheels turning over
Yeah.
there. And I'm like, he's gonna say this.
Overthinking,
and-
yes.
yeah.
Thank you.
But yeah, just great. Thanks for being on today. Incredibly grateful that your art is in Vero Beach for us, and it's truly complements what we're trying to do here. And like I said, a can idea for next year sounds awesome.
Let's do it.
Yeah,
That
so
sounds fun.
gears are turning for that
yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Guys, cheers.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Let's wrap up
Cheers.
Florida's
Right.
drinking
Cheers.
report.
Cheers. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Wow.
All right, guys. Thanks again for joining us today. Casey Scott on the Florida's Drinking Report podcast, joined by Emily Hayhurst and Brian Tonnes
I
again.
like. Hey,
Hey,
He's
horse.
gonna crop that out.
Maybeth.
Emily.
Maybeth. Emily Maybeth.
I'm never coming on again.
Nate was giving us the Kamala Harris.
All right, guys. Our longest one yet, hour and 40 minutes. So, there you go.
Hey, we can
Guys,
keep
thanks
going.
again. Appreciate it. Talk to you next time. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.